by the Bay today. In Oakland, picture postcard weather for a storybook season for this Oakland Athletic team. And this is the only game going in baseball this afternoon. MLB Live on Facebook Watch. We've got the Angels and the Athletics who have split the first two of this three-game series. And a lot of eyeballs on this one, and here's why. The Athletics are involved in a lot of different races and scenarios. They're trying to catch the Houston Astros with a week and a half left in the season. In the wild card, they're also trying to wrestle home field for the wild card game from the Yankees. And don't forget about the Rays, who just won't go away and just won't lose. They are still alive in the wild card. Hi, everybody. I'm Rich Waltz. Welcome to Oakland. I'm surrounded by American League left-handed starters here. Dallas Braden of the Oakland Athletics, Mark Langston of the Los Angeles Angels, and Kevin Franzen will join us shortly. Let's start with the Angels. If you're a contending team, I don't know that you want to play the Angels. They are dangerous, and obviously they've got star power.
They certainly have star power. Plenty of star power still left in this lineup. The Angels are not really a team I think you want to play when you're trying to get to the promised land. And it starts right in the heart of the order. Shohei Ohtani, probably one of the most hyped guys entering the MLB season, and certainly he did it on the mound. The arm went down. So what does he do? Offensively puts up big numbers, Rookie of the Year. If you want to talk MVPs, there's one in the lineup also. Mike Trout, two-time MVP, three-time runner-up. He has a bar that is set very high, and he's actually pushing it up a little higher this season.
Yeah, his numbers certainly warrant MVP discussion. You combine the two, and here's the frustration in Los Angeles. Even with Ohtani and even without Trout, no postseason, but certainly they can play the role of spoilers. Speaking of MVP discussion, Dallas Braden, most of it is focused either on Trout or certainly in Boston with Mookie Betts and J.D. Martinez. Where is Chris Davis in this discussion?
Well, I tell you what, when they're having that discussion out here in the East Bay, Chris Davis finds himself smack dab in the middle of that combo, just like he is smack dab in the middle of this powerful Oakland lineup. I'm talking about 3 years of 40-plus long balls, 3 years of 100-plus stakes. That's right, 100-plus RBIs, 3 campaigns in a row. You want to talk about a guy you do not want to let hurt you? There's a lot of them in this lineup. Chris Davis is the tip of the spear for the green and gold.
All right, you want 3 years? We got your 3 years, Dallas Braden. Here they are, 42, 43, and he's sitting on 43. And since the start of 16, nobody, not Stanton, nobody has hit more home runs in baseball than Chris Davis. If you're new to Facebook Watch, MLB Live, you can join us in the conversation. You can join an Angels or an Athletics fan group, and as you're watching on whatever device, if you don't want the comments on your screen, if it's a phone or a tablet, just swipe right. If it's a PC or a laptop, press the quiet button or expand to full screen, especially if you're streaming up to your flat screen and the comments go away. Sunshine in Oakland as the Athletics and the Angels ready to go. Lineups have been presented. And for the Angels, they're trying to get to 500. They're trying to spoil postseason plans for anybody that they play from this point on with a week and a half left in this Major League season. Let's take a look at the lineup for the Los Angeles Angels. And Mark Langston, look, we've pointed out Trout and Ohtani. There's a few others in there that are having nice years as well.
Yeah, you could go right past Trout and Ohtani. You go in the 5 and 6 holes. You got Justin Upton, his 4th 30-plus home run season, and right behind him, Andrelton Simmons is having some career numbers himself. Career high in average right at the moment. Career high for RBIs this year for Andrelton Simmons. He's known defensively, but this year the offense has been right there.
Mike Scioscia, always somebody that we love visiting with. We had a really fun conversation with him in his office. And for Scioscia, 2002 World Series champion, some injuries this year. And right now, just trying to get to the finish line. And he will join us, as we always do here on Facebook Watch, during the game. We'll have players, we'll have coaches. We'll have a lot of things going on, especially with Kevin Franzen down below, as the Athletics and the Angels get ready to finish off this series. And leading the way out is Edwin Jackson on his way out to the mound. the Athletics, a storybook season, and Dallas Braden lately, the concern has been the starting rotation, but I don't think there's any concern about Edwin Jackson right now.
No, he's been outstanding since his arrival. June 25th is when the Oakland A's tabbed Edwin Jackson out of the International League. He was in AAA with the Washington Nationals, but since joining, take a look at those digits, folks. 5-3, 3.17 ERA. I believe that's good for the fifth lowest mark, in the AL. The innings as well, the strikeouts, the walks, and that's something that we saw early from Edwin Jackson, was he was attacking the strike zone. And when I think about Edwin Jackson, there's a few things that I want to sort of point out, things that I think can really help him. Smarter, not harder, and he's alluded to that. You can't outmuscle this game of baseball, so he needs to work smarter instead of trying to dip into that bag of velo 96 plus. You've got to pick your spots. When can you tap into that velocity? When is it time to expand the strike zone? And finally, don't give in. A lot of first pitch cutters from Edwin Jackson. He's not going to give in when those cripple counts find their way. He looks to avoid, and he's going to make you hit his pitch.
Great bullpen, all of the home runs, all of the offense. The biggest improvement for the Athletics has been defensively this year, especially on the corner with Chapman and Olsen.
Well, Chapman and Olsen have been outstanding. If you ask me, and I think if you ask a lot of folks around the East Bay, and frankly baseball, I think you're looking at two potential Gold Glove candidates there in Chapman and Olsen. But Ramon Laureano in center field has taken that position and not let go. And Nick Martini has seen some time in center field as well. He's shown some good patience at the plate at the top of the lineup.
All right, here we go. Tuesday night, the Angels scored 9 times and beat the Athletics 9-7. And Oakland won in a wipeout last night, 10-0. And a big shift on for Cole Calhoun with Jose Fernandez and Mike Trout for the Angels here this afternoon in Oakland. Calhoun has been quiet lately, and the first pitch fastball misses down low from Edwin Jackson.
Yeah, one thing with Cole Calhoun, really had a tough start of the season to the point to where he had some injuries. He had to go down. He reconfigured his swing from standing more upright to now in more of a crouch mode and started to go opposite field. And really, the numbers really sprung up for Cole Calhoun. And then he's got into a little bit of a pull-happy scenario. And so you see the 3 guys on that right side of the infield. And it's partly because Cole Calhoun is starting to pull off the baseball a little bit. He's got 19 home runs. He wants 20.
I think what I like about Cole Calhoun, he's been somebody that I've identified early, Langs, as a grinder type. And he admitted to sort of getting maybe a little inundated by the information involved with trying to lift the ball. And I think the biggest thing was him saying, you know what, we're going to scrap that. We're going to get back to being the athlete I am, get back to being the hitter I am. And the adjustments he's made in the latter part of the season, I think, has kind of given some folks something to be excited about.
No secrets between these two teams, obviously. American League West rivals. They've seen a lot of each other for a long time. And Calhoun, almost 100 games against the Athletics in his career. Jackson out in front, 1-2. And check swing. Did he hold it? Yeah, he did.
You talked about Cole Calhoun from the standpoint of being that grinder. He is no question a grinder. He will never take a day off. And even the times when he was really going bad, he would spend extra time in that cage thinking that sometimes the muscle memory, if I can get it to work again, and he couldn't get it until he went down and completely reconfigured again. That stance that he has. And to me, it looks like he's way more relaxed in the batter's box than he was earlier in the season. If you look at him at the plate right now, he just looks like he can hit the ball anywhere in the ballpark.
And the 2-2 is down low. Full count, 3-2. And when Jackson started his season in AAA with the Nationals, pitched well. They didn't have room, and Oakland was able to sign him, and he's been outstanding since. This is start number 16 for the 35-year-old and his 13th stop, 13th different major league team.
Yeah, there's always somebody that wants you. That's the good sign of that.
And he's been one of those late season trade pieces many times. Calhoun got a piece, and he stays alive, and it's 3-2 still.
And there's been conversations about a guy like Edwin Jackson making his way around the league. You take a look at those numbers over the last 9 starts, guys. This is why he has been tabbed as a integral part of what the A's have done. You look around, I've referenced the Oakland A's as a team with a 2.0 rotation. Edwin Jackson has been a huge part of that 2.0 rotation. But you think about the time he spent in the league and around the league, there's a reason, and you hit it, Lengs. You're probably pretty good if you've got the ability to tread water this long.
Oh, no question about it. And even at 35 years old, you talked about it, he could still run it up there at 96 miles an hour. He's a perfect fit for the Oakland A's, who were struggling to find rotation pieces. There's a great at-bat for Cole Calhoun right there. Finally gets the Edwin Jackson, as you talked about when you were breaking Edwin Jackson down. He's a guy that will not give in, and he did not give in to Cole Calhoun right there. But certainly Edwin Jackson's a guy that fits, a guy that has the veteran presence, and a guy that can really kind of relax some of the younger guys that they have on this ball club.
By the way, in that at-bat, that check swing that we showed was a foul ball, and thus the count was 2-2, and then it went to 3-2. And now, as you pointed out, Calhoun with a outstanding at-bat, an 8-pitch walk. And here is Fernandez, a left-handed bat. Then you've got Trout, Ohtani, Upton, and Simmons all lined up for the Angels. And Jackson pours across the strike. Shane Livensparger is the home plate umpire. Eric Cooper at first, Marvin Hudson at second, and James Hoy is at third base.
And Edwin's done a good job this year of corralling the lefties. A 208 BABIP against the lefties. That's batting average on balls in play. That's third best across Major League Baseball.
This is traditionally a ballpark that has the West Coast marine layer at night. It's not a small ballpark, but during the day it plays a little smaller than at night. The A's are a better offensive team on the road than they are here. But if you're a power hitter, this is a optimal spot for this ballpark. Mid-70s, low humidity, and a sharp breaking ball for a strike.
Well, at times there could be some wind swirling going on. Take a look at the flags there. Not much of that cooking right now. And you're right, as things start to warm up, the ball will jump here at the Coliseum. Good hitting on a day game.
And we saw game one of this series Tuesday night. It was a cold, damp night. There were some balls that were squared up that did not leave the ballpark, and it will be a different atmosphere here today. You get the ball up in the zone, and the ball will travel very well.
0-2 to center. That's Laureano on a hop. Laureano loads up, and his throw not in time at second. And that's something to watch, is that throwing arm in center field. Fernandez has a base hit, and this sets up perfectly for Mike Trout.
And Mike Trout, this is one of the reasons you look at some of Mike Trout's numbers. Only 71 RBIs on the season. Guess what? Mike Trout was the guy setting up Albert Pujols and Justin Upton. There was nobody in front of him. We talked about the struggles of Cole Calhoun. Trout hit second in this lineup for a lot of the beginning of the season. He did not have the RBI opportunities. He was the guy that was in scoring position every time. So you look at the RBIs, and you talk MVP, obviously Mike Trout, he's going to be in there every year. You could throw his numbers in this. He is pushing that bar a little bit higher on a bar that's already out of the universe right at the moment.
What's so special about Mike Trout, and I always sort of jokingly mention this, and we mentioned this on the broadcast the other night, if you look at the Hall of Fame, Mike Trout already is better than just about half of those guys hanging out in the hall. Already today, as he stands in this batter's box.
26 years old.
To your point, only 69 at bats with runners in scoring position. That's low.
Well, there was one point, there was 6 other guys on the Angels team that had more opportunities with runners in scoring position than your best player. And that is something where Mike Scioscia finally had to move him from the 2-hole to the 3-hole to try to create more opportunities for Trout to drive runs in.
First and second. Calhoun at second. Fernandez at first. Trout takes down low. You saw those numbers. At first glance, you're thinking, well, he's slugging .463. That's his on-base percentage. The slugging is way up in the 600s.
Yeah, you look at his on-base, his slugging, his OPS. Those three are pretty much kind of how you can read what a hitter is doing. He's at the top of every one of those. Certainly, again, when you talk MVP, you can't really fault anything that Mike Trout has done. He's got the power number. He's got the 35 home runs. He's got stolen bases, 24 stolen bases on the season for Mike Trout. The one thing that sticks out for me, and we'll get to it later in this game, is the defense, how that is really taken an uptick for Mike Trout.
Jackson behind 2-0. And a breaking ball in there for a strike, and it's 2-1.
Trout 115 walks this season, leads everybody in that category. Also 23 intentional walks to Mike Trout.
All the way back to the start of 2012. He's, if not at the top, near the top of all major leaguers. Hit his 35th home run here on Monday night. He drives that ball to left center field. Laureano in pursuit is there, makes the catch. No one going to run on this guy. And the throw to third, just a tease of what this guy is packing in center field.
He had a game against the Angels, and it's almost like when he first came up, nobody really knew much about him, and he caught a ball in left center field on the run, almost by the warning track, and Eric Young Jr., who can actually, he's very fast, was just at second base, around second base, and he was able to throw it in the air almost from the warning track and got doubled up Eric Young Jr.
It was incredible. I was sitting there behind home plate in Anaheim. Upton torched a ball that had no business being caught into left center. Laureano corrals that, hits Olsen 321 feet away in the chest.
And here is Ohtani. Runner still first and second. He fouls that one back. Mike Scioscia talking to us about Ohtani, and just he didn't. Sometimes Scioscia is pretty direct and will give you a short answer. Not with Ohtani. I mean, he just went on and on about the offense, the adjustments he's made at the plate, and then when it turned to pitching, the elite stuff. And obviously, he's ticketed for Tommy John surgery when the season is over. And that's good news for the Angels that he's going to get it fixed. It's good news for Ohtani.
He hasn't officially announced he's going to do this yet, by the way. He said he's looking into it, and when the season ends, he'll make that decision. So officially, I think it's pretty much a decision that he's going to say yes to, but he has not come out and said, all right, I'm going to have Tommy John surgery. He's going to wait till the season's over, and then it'll be pretty quick from that point on, because the Angels want him back next year, as he's not going to pitch, obviously, in the 2019 season, but they still believe if he had the surgery quickly that he could come back probably early in the year and be able to hit.
The fact that it's his right elbow means that if he has the surgery, he can DH next year, and the timeline could bring him back as early as mid to late May. Now, Mike Scioscia also in that meeting talked a little bit about Matt Shoemaker, and we'll get to that when he's on the mound. He's been terrific of late. But right now, Ohtani with a 1-1 count, a chance to do some damage. And a swing and a miss, and then Jackson pulls the string.
And when you start talking Rookie of the Year, I think at the beginning of the season when Ohtani came over, he was the lock for the Rookie of the Year, doing something that nobody's done since Babe Ruth. Have the offensive side and be able to be a dominant starter. Obviously, the elbow issues have been a problem with him, and certainly the offensive side was the question mark. And he has come over and he has opened up every eye. And now that he's not pitching, we get to see him full-time as the offensive side.
Edwin Jackson under the hand, sharp breaking ball, and Ohtani strikes out.
But as far as Rookie of the Year, he was a slam dunk early, and then maybe not so much. Andujar from the Yankees is obviously kind of is captivating that. And I think Ohtani is apt. I don't know how he doesn't win the Rookie of the Year.
Well, look, if you combine what the dominance on the mound, that makes up, to me, for the absence of games played offensively.
And offensively, if you looked at his numbers almost size up to Andujar, and he has half the at-bats.
Right.
All right. Look, we've talked about Trout and Ohtani, but look at the numbers for Upton. 30 homers. He's driven in 84, and he's in an RBI spot right now, and he's hot, too. His last 6 games, he has 4 home runs.
Justin Upton, I think Ian Kinsler said it at the beginning of the year, when Justin Upton is hot, he will carry the ball club, and when he's cold, he's going to go through a lot of swings and misses. You look at the strikeouts this year, 165 strikeouts, but he's got the 30 home runs, 84 RBIs.
Calhoun still at second, Fernandez at first. Jackson's 0-1, and his breaking ball misses in. Dallas Braden Edwin Jackson not quite that sharp here in the first inning, but if he can get out of the inning, give himself a chance to regroup.
And this is part of the smarter, not harder. So at times when you start to struggle, you think, all right, let me get back to what I do well. Let me get back to try to muscling. And Edwin has spoken about the ability or inability to out-muscle the game of baseball. And that's where this mindset has come from in the latter part of his career.
And Dallas, I got a question for you. Jonathan Lucroy has been a major addition to this ball club. Behind the plate, Josh Fagley's back there today. What's the difference that you see between those two? Because all I hear is really what Jonathan Lucroy has been able to bring and help harness this staff for this A's team.
I'd say the name on the back of the jersey. That's I don't want to say that's about it, but it's pretty close, because when you've got a guy like Lucroy who walks into the clubhouse with that big binder full of info, you bet yourself you will be watching and taking notes.
Edwin Jackson. Angels get first and second and nobody out. No problem. Jackson gets Trout to line out and punches out Ohtani and Upton in this ball game here in Oakland. The only game going in Major League Baseball, and certainly an important one, is underway to a scoreless start. Now our attention turns to the Oakland Athletics, who are at 91-61. A surprise team when they really turned it on in June and July. But for Bob Melvin, he's had some really nice years here. Was the manager of the year in 2012. And his lineup, there's some really good Mats in there. We've talked about Chris Davis. Who else do you like in this lineup, Dallas?
Well, I'm a huge fan of Stephen Piscotty. This guy has been absolutely unbelievable this year. Take a look at those numbers: 25 homers, 40 doubles, one of potentially 4 guys in this lineup that could see 40 doubles, and then Ramon Laureano right behind him. We talked about his impact on the defensive side of the baseball, but this is a young man come up, got his first big league knock. It was a walk-off knock. He has shown a propensity for the excitement of baseball. I'm a big fan of this kid.
It's a lineup with length and danger seemingly around every corner. Matt Shoemaker, though, if he pitches like he did his last time out, he had the good split going, as Mike Scioscia told us. Certainly, just to have him healthy is a real plus for the Angels.
Yeah, you look at Matt Shoemaker, and it's been the last couple of years for Matt Shoemaker. He was shut down in June of last year with this elbow issue, and nobody could figure out what was going on with the elbow. He went to every specialist from the standpoint of trying to figure out where the nerve issue was the problem. And certainly they finally got to it, and it was a split pronator muscle in his right arm, and it was exploratory surgery that went in and said, okay, where does it hurt? He pointed to where it hurt, and they went in there and said, then they finally found it, and they were able to fix that. And for Matt Shoemaker, it is great to have him back on the mound. He's been a guy that's won 16 games for the Angels his rookie year, finished second in the Rookie of the Year in 2014, and that was such a big year. Angels won 98 games in 2014, and Garrett Richards went down August 20th, and you're thinking that this is not going to happen, and certainly Matt Shoemaker was one of the big reasons the Angels were able to get to the postseason in 2014.
Nick Martini in the leadoff spot. You've got Matt Chapman, Jed Lowry to follow. Chris Davis slotted in the cleanup position. Shoemaker turns 32 next week, and he throws a strike to open his afternoon here in Oakland. Martini, who's been up and down, really adds a nice piece at the top of a lineup. Throughout his career, even back to college, he's been an on-base machine. And he's done it for Oakland, a 386 on base. And he takes outside.
Well, and it was very, very prevalent early on when he came up to the big leagues. You could see the patience. You could see him use the entire field. He's a guy, he will let the ball travel, but just a very mature at bat from Nick Martini. And when you talk about a guy leading off, providing you those run scoring opportunities, I know we think about prototypical leadoff hitters. You want to see a lot of pitches. You want to give the guys behind you an opportunity to get a look at what the starting pitcher has to offer. And for a young guy to come up and sort of have a grasp of that concept has really paid dividends.
Well, he had that grasp in college, right? He was at Kansas State. He set an NCAA record, 93 consecutive games getting on base. The Cardinals drafted him in the 7th round. 7 years in the minors, finally an opportunity this year. His on base in his minor league career, 362. So he's done this his whole baseball life, and he swings and misses, and Shoemaker gets his first strikeout.
And there's a good split from Matt Shoemaker.
All right, defensively for the Angels, it kind of stops and starts up the middle with Andrelton Simmons, doesn't it?
Oh, it's certainly Andrelton Simmons. He is the best in baseball, and I played with Omar Vizquel, and I have told Omar in the past, you will always be my gold standard, but this guy has visual contact on you because he, to me, is an old school instinctual player. He reminds me so much of Omar Vizquel, where you don't need to tell him where to play. He knows where to play, and his instincts will take him right to the ball, and he's like a Labrador. He will chase the ball until you stop throwing it.
All right. With a guy at the plate, we may have the two best left side defenders in the game today, with Chapman at third for the Athletics and Simmons at short for the Angels.
I think that's an easy statement to make, especially in the American League. We don't want to forget about the man over in the hot corner at in the Rockies, Nolan Arenado. Pretty good player, decent player, but you're right, with Matt Chapman and Simba out there in the 6-hole, good luck. I mean, I can remember a game I watched earlier this year. Andrelton Simmons made a tremendous play, ends up in a rundown, and then ends up securing the ball, making the play, and finds his way over to third base to prevent any more. I mean, as you said, he's a Labrador.
He is. I swear, I've seen him so many times that he will go after the ball every time, and when the outfielders are converging on it, you've got to be careful because you have to yell loud because Simmons will not peel off unless he hears somebody call him off.
Chapman had kind of announced himself to baseball with his defense, but his offense has been outstanding since the All-Star break. One of the very best in the game. He leads the American League in hits, in extra base hits, and in total bases since the break. And he's gone 3-2 against Matt Shoemaker. Look at those numbers since the All-Star break.
And you pair that with what a lot feel to be Gold Glove caliber defense, and you've got a star.
Oh, hammers that one. Ward runs right into it and holds on. Allowed out for out number 2 here in the first.
Well, this is what we've seen from Matt Chapman throughout the entire season. It's his ability to turn on the baseball. But Rich, to your point, since the All-Star break, he's done a good job of utilizing the entire field, spraying the baseball.
Jed Lowry now. Shoemaker a strikeout and a line drive out. Lowry, another really productive year in that 3 spot for Oakland. Slugging at .450, 37 doubles to go with his 21 home runs. The A's are very good at both of those. They're second to the Yankees in home runs in the American League, and they're second to the Red Sox in doubles in the American League. And Lowry cuts and misses. It's 0-2.
I think Jed Lowry has the best walk-up song in all of baseball. A little Tom Sawyer from Rush. I know I enjoy it.
Well, that's because as an Expo, I'm sure Geddy Lee went to many batting practices and hung out with you Expos.
He's one of my dear friends. I love him. And certainly I liked Rush when I was I won't say a youngster or a kid, but maybe I'm a little younger than Geddy. But I'm a big Rush fan, and every time Jed Lowry comes to plate, I get a big smile on my face.
I tell you, we get a smile on our face out here in Oakland having the opportunity to watch him. But with Jed, it's hard to believe that Jed just getting his first All-Star nod of his career this year.
He's always been a guy that everybody said, well, he can just flat out hit.
Well, he's got a professional approach from both sides of the plate. That's the thing. And when you are seeing pitches from both sides of the plate, I think it behooves one to take an approach and be able to try to apply that to both sides and kind of work from there. And that's what you see out of Jed.
Lowry swings and misses, and it's dug out there by Arcia, who tags him out. So Matt Shoemaker looks sharp. Pair of strikeouts and a 1-2-3 first against a very good offensive team in Oakland. 4th man in over the top rope. Kevin Franzen down below. Former Angel Kevin Franzen. Boy, was Mike Scioscia happy to see you today, Kevin Franzen.
What's going on, fellas? How are you?
Good, good.
You guys, we got some sweet technical stuff going on down here. Hey, the best part about this Facebook Watch thing is the social scene and what players and fans and what teams do, I think is a big deal. So Shaman Naya is the first one on the board right now, and yesterday post-op telling everyone that the doc said everything went well. I'm glad it did. You know, if you had the right doctor, I'm sure everything goes right every time. So The next one we have here is the Cleveland Indians. They're the first team in Major League Baseball to clinch the AL Central, as we've seen. And Francona, Lindor, and Jose Ramirez, all MVP candidates, Manager of the Year. We have the Indians still going on here with the... We got Matt Carpenter with the Bueno Mojo Salsa being sold at St. Louis. And here's the Dodgers, Manny Machado, little Jock Peterson, I believe. And then you got one of the great Oakland A's, one of Dallas Braden's former teammates, Josh Reddick, and his boys, Jose Quintana. Yeah, he's getting creative here, so that's pretty good. Elvis Andrus, he's taking it back to the good old days with the Braves. And then my man, the Bay Area's own Eric Burns, and his 57-day trip across the country. Great white sharks, blisters, everything. It's insane. Well, that's the social scene. We're going to check it out from the fans and team later on today. Rich, back to you.
Boy, how ripped is Burnsy in that last shot when he arrived in Secaucus at the headquarters of MLB Network?
I think going across the country like that's going to rip you up anyway, just from the standpoint where you're going to have any fat left by doing that trek that he did.
Here's Simmons now. He takes a fastball for a strike from Edwin Jackson. Francisco Arcia and Caleb Cowart also for the Angels. Jackson walked the leadoff man in the first, gave up a hit, and then got through the teeth of the order and did not give up a run. Maybe the most important component of last night's win for Oakland wasn't the fact that they scored 10 runs. And Stephen Piscotty drove in 5 with a home run and a double. It was the fact that Brett Anderson went 6 2/3 and did not give up a run in just 3 hits. That was an enormous start for him and for Bob Melvin.
Well, you're thinking about how this rotation is going to line up heading down this stretch, and you don't want to get ahead of yourself and start thinking about a division series long before you ever entered any sort of wild card arena. With that being said, you are looking to identify somebody that can potentially start that ball game or start game 1 of an extended series. So a huge outing for Brett Anderson, especially coming off the elbow issue he's dealing with. For him to be able to go out and repeat and work efficiently and quickly, a lot of soft contact, that's something I was really excited about having watched last night, because it's one thing to come out and be healthy. It's another thing to execute on a level that Brett Anderson executed last night.
Well, Trevor Cahill's had some back issues, though it sounds like that is on its way to being solved. You got Edwin Jackson and then Mike Fiers as well. The A's are bullpenning it with that every 5th day start. Liam Hendricks has been the opener, paired with Daniel Mengden. That's been a nice combination for Oakland. And talking to Bob Melvin, though, you talk about postseason rotation and all that. We raised that with Bob Melvin, and he cut it short. He said, look, we will worry about the postseason when we are in the postseason. Our notes from our meeting with Bob Melvin, don't worry about it until we're there. And then we talked about expanded rosters, and he said, you know, the one thing that he's realized, and the A's are one of these teams, analytic teams love expanded rosters. And Simmons shoots that ball into the seats. Why is that, guys? Why are analytic teams into this 37, 38 guys in September?
I would say it's because of the ability to plug and play, the ability to match up. But when you think about 27 outs in a ball game and how to go about covering those, if you've got an entire platoon worth of arms down there, I'm talking 15 to 20 potential arms to tap into, you appreciate that.
Simmons on 3 hops for Marcus Semien, who makes the play.
And Rich, I also think there's a lot to be said for teams who focus on building their organization and having the ability to tap some of those shoulders down there in 3A and know that they can be serviceable up here at the big league level. And so I think teams that have done their due diligence, done their homeworks, who maybe take their calculators to the yard more so than some of the other clubs, they feel like they have an advantage just based on resources.
Not that Bob Melvin likes the idea of having 37 to 38 guys in September. He just says, hey, if that's the way it's going to be, teams have to take advantage of it. And certainly Oakland has, with a bullpen that is bursting at the seams. there's not even enough room for the Athletics to sit in their bullpen. There are 17 relievers for Oakland on their lineup sheet. He has 15 right-handers to choose from out of his bullpen.
That's pretty much how it goes.
You know, when you get to the bullpen side of it, and you talked about it's great to have, but to me, the more times that you run extra guys out there, the next guy, the next guy, the next guy, there is a good chance one of them may have an off day. And we saw that the other day. Lou Trevino, who's been one of the best for the Oakland A's, he came in, he had an off night. Angels scored 6 runs in the 6th inning against Lou Trevino. So the more guys that you run out there, you run the risk of one of those guys maybe having an off day.
Francisco Arcia, the catcher for the Angels. Of course, Martin Maldonado traded to Houston. Arcia, one of the guys getting that time. If you're catching for the Angels, and Mike Scioscia, that's like playing quarterback for the late Bill Walsh, right? That's I mean, this guy is hard on catchers, but that's a good thing because he's always had great defenders behind the plate.
Yeah, he has always had a really good quality catcher behind home plate, and certainly Mike Scioscia is really integral as far as the development. And you've got 3 young catchers on the Angels at the moment. This is the first time for Mike Scioscia. He's always had a veteran catcher back there. Now he's got 3 younger guys that he's trying to help mold and shape.
We will visit with Mike Scioscia. We'll visit with Bob Melvin. Here in Oakland, only game going in Major League Baseball this afternoon, and a lot on the line for the Athletics, for the Yankees, for the Astros, and don't forget the Rays, who just won't lose right now and still have wild card hopes. Oakland's magic number to clinch a wild card spot is 6 because the Rays are 5.5 back. Oakland's 2.5 behind that first wild card spot. That's the Yankees, and 4 behind the West leading Astros as Caleb Cowart stands in. Cowart in a cold spell right now. Finds himself behind in the count 0-2.
Caleb Cowart is one of these guys that where he has the gold glove. He has the ability to play third base like Matt Chapman. He is a gold glove third baseman, but the offensive side has just not caught up to him. He's a switch hitter. He's got to the point that we stopped switch hitting at one point. Now he's back to switch hitting, and the numbers have just not added up offensively for him to get him back out on the field on a daily basis.
A much cleaner second inning for Edwin Jackson than the first, as he strikes out Caleb Cowart. And he's gone to that breaking ball a little more, especially after he got runners first and second, nobody out in the first.
Yeah, this is a good breaking ball right here. And when you throw 96, hitters respect that 96, which sets up that good breaking ball right there. And he did a nice job with Caleb Cowart right there.
Now, these games on Facebook Watch, these are not only national games, this goes all over the globe. Obviously, as long as you've got Wi-Fi, as long as you've got the internet, man, you can watch these games. And so people, some of you haven't had a chance to watch Chris Davis as much as you should. And it's one of the things in this sport that sometimes drives me nuts is teams like the A's don't get as much national exposure, but there's been some bashers in A's history, right? The Bash brothers, McGuire and Canseco. Jimmy Fox makes an appearance on the show. But Chris Davis in 3 seasons, and you said at the outset, Dallas Brady, these 3 seasons back to back to back have been terrific.
We're talking about 3 seasons of 40-plus homers, 3 seasons of 100-plus RBIs. But what Chris Davis has really started to do, especially in the latter part of this season, we've seen him mature. We've seen a side of patience sort of come into play for Chris Davis that we hadn't really seen. He's using the entire field. This is a guy who's got tremendous pop to all fields. I'll tell you right now, there's not a national park in the country that can hold him. Legs, Jellystone, doesn't matter. Get a look at this spray chart here.
This is amazing because he's pulled 13 homers and he's had 14 to the opposite field.
Yeah. I saw Chris Davis hit a ball in Texas out to right field, down to his last strike, and he hit a ball that looked like Joey Gallo pulled the ball into right field, the upper tank. Not easily done.
I think that spray chart really just gives you an idea of how deep that ball travels on Chris Davis. When you start hitting balls opposite field, you got to let that ball travel. You can't have that bat head out. So you see center field and right field identified in that spray chart like it was. This is a guy that lets the ball travel deep. He's quick enough to get to that baseball and strong enough to drive the ball out of the ballpark.
And I think those numbers would surprise a lot of people who even follow the game closely. The fact that nobody's hit more homers, not Stanton, not Cruz, since 2016, the start of 2016. All that being said, spray charts and all of that. Mark Langston, if you're Matt Shoemaker, where do you go to get it out here? Where do you pitch this guy who can hit it out any place in the ballpark?
Well, for sure, you got to go, to me, inside. Power hitters like to extend their arms. They like that ball middle of the plate away, and they like it elevated a little bit. So my testing spot is on the inner half to see how you attack that after you go that. And we know Chris Davis is one of the best fastball hitters in the game of baseball. He hunts fastball, and when he gets it, we've seen what he's capable of doing. You want to work ahead, you want to throw strikes, and when you get ahead, you can get him out with some balls outside of the strike zone.
Big breaking ball and a ground ball to Simmons, and Shoemaker does just that. He's retired all 4 that he's faced here.
And for Matt Shoemaker, here's this little slider that just spins. It doesn't do much right there. That's one that you feel fortunate that when you throw it and it doesn't get to the spot. You want that ball down and away, and that ball's at the old backup slider right there. And Chris Davis is able to beat that ball into the ground, and you get an out of that instead of a brand new baseball.
Kevin Franzen, you have a great seat down there right at field level.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm giving signs over here. It's perfect. But to you guys, Mark and Dallas, when you see a guy like Chris Davis, he has his front foot coming out towards the third base. Do you kind of get fooled by it? Do you kind of pitch it? You're like, I can get him away, and that puts it right into his zone?
Well, early on, I'm with Langs. I'm going to test you inside. I have got to see your ability to cover the inside part of the plate, how aggressive you're going to be on the inside part of the plate. Is that somewhere you're just uncomfortable? And then from there, I'm going to work to my strength, obviously, which is getting outs away. So I'm going to see just how far away I can take you. How far can I expand to get you out there? And if I've done my work, and I think Langs will back me up on this, if I've got you looking out there, I can beat you with 85. I can beat you to a spot on the inside part of the plate.
But Kevin, isn't that what makes Davis special? I mean,
yeah,
he can hit any pitch anywhere 430 feet.
Well, that's the incredible part, because he's like not flying open. With his step going this way towards the third base coach's box, he's still locked in, and he doesn't lose anything. So if you're to teach a kid how he hits, you got to keep your hip inside, shoulder, but you also got to be strong. And he is incredible.
Olsen right now with a 2-2. Nice job down there, Kevin. Sunscreen as well is recommended.
Yeah, that and eye black.
And this is you guys have all played in this ballpark during a day game, and the glare and the sun here can be trouble for infielders and for outfielders and for sideline announcers. Olsen now takes down low, and the other Matt, who is having a terrific year with the bat and certainly with the glove, is the first base runner for Oakland on the day.
That's a good at bat right there. This is a good split for Matt Shoemaker. This is a split that he wants Matt Olsen to swing at, and he's able to identify it and lay off it. And that is the sign of a young hitter that's maturing right there. And you look at the walks this year, 61 walks for Olsen. So he's just not a swing and miss guy. But Matt Shoemaker, that was by design. He wanted Matt Olsen. He felt like he did his work, and here's a split. See if you can hit it. It looks like a fastball, and by the time you go after it, the bottom falls out, and you're swinging right over the top of it. Matt Olsen able to lay off that.
And here is Piscotty. Of course, when the season started, the news around Piscotty was the illness, the ALS that his mother was battling. His mom, Gretchen, passed away in May. The trade from the Cardinals to the Bay Area here. He's a Stanford guy. He grew up in the East Bay to be closer to his mom and to his family. And through all of that, he has been a huge contributor to the Athletics. You see the comparison from St. Louis to Oakland. And especially here in the second half, especially last night, boy, 5 RBIs, home run, a big RBI double. It's really an incredible story that a guy like this could go through what he's gone through and keep it together on the field.
Well, what I think it is, it's a testament to the clubhouse. It's a testament to the chemistry. And like you know, when you show up every single day, these are people that you spend the majority of your life with, not just your year, but the majority of your life with. And so baseball being that sanctuary, I think it is for a lot of us. I think we have seen that sort of unfold.
Piscotty to right. He's got good pop that way. Calhoun is back at the track, and he makes the catch. Backing up, Cole Calhoun makes the grab. Olsen was almost all the way to second base and scampers back in time. And Piscotty is out number 2.
Well, we've been talking a lot about Gold Gloves in this game already today. We talked about Chapman. We talked about Olsen, Simmons. Well, there is a Gold Glover right there. And Cole Calhoun goes back on this ball perfectly, gets a great jump on it, and certainly brings this one in. And he, even with his offense was down early in the season, his defense was really still Gold Glove quality.
And that's what I love about this dude. And that's why I use the term grinder, baseball rat, because it doesn't matter. He's not taking his ABs with him out to right field. Nay, that ain't happening. He's laying it all on the line, 1 through 9.
And now another great story here in Oakland. Ramon Laureano, we were talking so much about his throwing arm. You guys mentioned the throw against the Angels, but offensively he's added a spark. On base at a .355 clip, slugging close to .500 in his 39 games.
Well, he is also a threat on the base path should he find himself standing on first base. Spent a lot of time during the second half of this season with Ricky Henderson, and I don't think there's anybody better. If you're looking to figure out how to be a thief on the diamond, Ricky, probably the best. No doubt the best.
I saw that fan take from Chris that if you had a full season of Laureano, he would be a great Rookie of the Year candidate.
You know, and the thing that Laureano brings to this ball club is what you just mentioned, the speed element. This is something A's don't do. They are dead last in the American League from stolen base categories. This young man now makes that a different element, and he's stole the base in this series.
It's hard to imagine. I mean, we're playing at Ricky Henderson Field here in Oakland. We'll have Charles Nagy on if you've got some questions for pitching coach of the Angels. He'll be by in the break, the next half inning. Laureano battling here, a 2-1 count. Shoemaker misses outside.
Just one more note on Laureano as far as his speed and his ability on the base paths is concerned. Only 7 stolen bases. Hasn't been caught yet. So he's picking his spots. He's getting the right reads. For a young guy, very important.
I think, Dallas, you talked about it, working with Ricky Henderson. When you're a young player, it is critical for you to attach yourself to guys that have had success.
That's a fair ball. No, a foul ball. And you can hear the crowd reaction. James Hoy, the third base umpire, wasn't calling it foul because he was busy jumping over the ball. And the A's dugout right now, that is not a reviewable play, though, because the ball was on the ground in front of the umpire. It has to be in the air, and it has to be past the base umpire. And Bob Melvin's going to come out and do the old-fashioned question and ask for a review. Now, if you watch that replay, the ball on the ground just has to go over the base.
Any part of it.
It doesn't have to land in fair territory afterwards. And Melvin may be asking, hey, can we ask for help on this? Because, as you saw, Hoy was busy trying to get out of the ball's way.
And here's another thing, too. Before it gets to the third base bag, this is the home plate umpire's call. Once it gets past, it's the third base umpire's call. And certainly both umpires raised their hand and said foul ball. And as you just talked about, you cannot have this reviewed. And this might be a big break for the Angels right here, because that ball from our viewpoint looked like it went right over that third base bag.
And as big of a guy as Matt Olson is, he can move. And Laureano, you can pretty much guarantee would have been cruising into second with a double. I think you're right. The Halos may have caught a break here.
Well, let's see if Shoemaker can take advantage of it. 3-2 count now on Laureano. Olsen will be on the move. And Laureano pumps another one that way. This one in the air and over that overflowing Athletics bullpen.
Oh, we talked about the split with Matt Shoemaker. That was one right there. And the good one is the one that has the bite. It looks hittable, and it's just below the belt, and you go after it. The ball's in the dirt. That one stayed up in the zone. And once again, Matt Shoemaker, he's got to get this split down. This one stays up. You can see it. It is very hittable, and the split up is one that you could drive out of the ballpark.
Does he go back to the split here?
I think so.
Runner moves, 3-2 again, and this split dies in the dirt. Great at bat by Laureano, and he gets Marcus Semien to the plate with 2 outs and runners at first and second.
Yeah, that's a veteran pitcher trying to take advantage of a young hitter right there, thinking, okay, 3-2. I just showed you a split. Am I going to do it again or not do it again? Those are the cat and mouse games that you play out there. And Matt Shoemaker doubled it up right there, and that one was the one he was looking for the pitch before, and that's a good walk right there by Laureano.
So Semien now, Olson's at second. Laureano with that great speed is at first. Charles Nagy will join us at the end of this half inning, and Matt Shoemaker is hoping that comes quickly. Semien's got some pop, and certainly he enjoyed last night here because not only did the Athletics win it by a score of 10-0, but it was Cal versus Stanford night here at the ballpark. Semien is a Cal shortstop. Bob Melvin is a Cal Bear, but I think the Stanfords had big nights. Stephen Piscotty,
right.
Jed Lowry.
Yep. It was fun. Both bands, college bands were in the house.
I enjoyed it.
The Dancing Tree was here. I don't know if Foskey, the Bear, was here or not, but the Straw Hat Band from Cal was here.
I think there's rules against live animals running around.
Probably.
I noticed somebody in the Stanford band, he might have been 75 years old, and he was dressed up in the band.
Well, look, there's no, that's the beauty of the Stanford band. There's no rules. There's no
he's got eligibility.
What kind of breaking ball does he have?
Semien fouls it back. Well, Shoemaker's fallen behind a few hitters here. He had a pair of strikeouts. Remember, Chapman's line drive was a loud one in the first. The Laureano ball down the third baseline looked fair, and that probably would have scored Olson.
And you got to remember, this is Matt Shoemaker's only his 5th start of the season. He spent a lot of time on the deal. He actually pitched Game 3 here against the A's and beat the A's and had the elbow issue right after, and that's where it put him on the DL.
Chopper towards short. That's where ground balls go to die. And Andrelton Simmons flips to second in time. And Shoemaker, who has had so many medical issues, as we pointed out, it's great to see him healthy. It's great to see him pitching. Strands 2. Here in the second. We've played 2. Oakland and Los Angeles are scoreless. For the Angels, pitching wise, the biggest challenge has been health and keeping pitchers healthy, and not just this season. There's been a run of surgeries and health issues. 2014, and you can see from that point, Skaggs, Richards, Heaney, all the way down. Shohei Ohtani has had the stem cell injection and in all likelihood Tommy John surgery. So for a pitching coach, that's not easy because you're trying to piece together the rotation, and he joins us right now. Charles Nagy joins us. Charles, with all the medical issues, especially from Matt Shoemaker, it's great to see him out there and healthy and pitching, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great to have him back, him and Skaggs, and getting a few guys back towards the end of the season is always nice.
Charlie Nagy, Mark Langston here.
Langer.
What do you see so far with Matt Shoemaker? That inning right there, a couple of walks. Matt Shoemaker's a guy that's always around that strike zone. What did you see in those at-bats right there to Matt Olson and Laureano? Were they just good at-bats, or Matt Shoemaker just off a little bit, still finding his way, only his 5th start?
Yeah, that last inning fell behind those guys and just didn't give in. Tried to make them chase, went 3-2 on both of them, or 3-1 on Laureano, and just, tried to make a good pitch and just didn't.
And Dallas Braden here. I've got a question. Come September, obviously you guys anticipate the expansion of rosters. You get a lot of arms, up, and you're dealing with these guys.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. Yes, sir. What is a bit of advice that you could maybe bestow upon some of the younger arms that might be watching in a clubhouse right now or on a laptop? When you get to the big leagues in September, maybe it's your first time around the block. What are some things you can give them in terms of how to go about your business? What are you looking for when young guys come up and make that first turn?
Just that they go about their business in the right way, that they're ready to go when called upon. Obviously, with so many arms, there's not many opportunities with so few innings. And just make sure they get off the mound after every couple days if they haven't, and just try and keep them as sharp as they can. So when they do go out there, they're able to compete, get guys out.
Matt Chapman showing off that Gold Glove and the strong arm. We talked with your skipper Mike Scioscia about Shohei Ohtani as a hitter and as a pitcher. And I think some fans are wondering, with all the great things he can do offensively, will the Angels continue to throw him? And that's certainly the plan. Can you quantify the type of stuff and the type of pitcher he is for fans out there that haven't seen him pitch this year?
He's a top of the rotation guy. I mean, throws 95 to 100. And he's got 4 above average pitches. With that and the curveball, the slider, and the split, and he knows what he's doing out there. He's got really good mechanics. And when he is in control of the strike zone, he's pretty dominant.
And the value of him in your rotation, and he would make in a full season probably 22, 23 starts, as Scioscia told us, is just immeasurable, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when you got a guy that can come out and once a week, which I still can't wrap my head around, just to try and keep his timing, but he does. He works hard in keeping that timing, but to come out once a week and do what he did, throw about 6 or 7 innings for us is a huge plus for us.
Yeah, Charlie Langer again. Talk to us about how is he able to do the two at the same time? How was he able to put the different hat on, the offensive hat and then the pitching hat? Because there's so much. It's so hard just to do one of those elements. He's doing 2. Talk to me about his preparation. How is he able to separate one from the other?
Well, we just have to be sensitive to his schedule, and when his schedule is designed so the days he's going to throw and the days he has off and the side days and all his work, and just when you get him for a short period of time, and then when you have him for that period of time, you just make sure that he does what he needs to do to get ready for his start.
Charles, thanks for the visit. Good luck the rest of the way.
I did. I thought I was going to be on for like 4 or 5 innings.
Would you like to? I mean, look, I'm surrounded by left-handers up here with Braden and Langston. We got Franzen across the way in the sun. So, but you're kind with your time, and I know that next year in spring training, let's hope for health for everybody and a great start for you guys.
Thank you guys very much.
All right, Charles Nagy, terrific pitcher in the big leagues. His 3rd year as a pitching coach for the Angels. We have something going here. Calhoun's aboard for the 2nd time. And Jose Fernandez, who singled in the 1st, has the only hit for the Angels, facing Edwin Jackson.
Yeah, what a great job. A tremendous job, really, for Charlie Nagy, what he's been able to do with this Angels. We've already seen all the injuries that the Angels have had this year. And if you look at their staff, 7th best ERA. They are right down the middle, realistically, in almost every category, middle of the pack. And you're talking about taking a lot of critical, important pieces out of either your rotation or your bullpen, and he's been able to, when the new pieces come in and are inserted, he's been able to really work with them and make them efficient.
Well, that's the task at hand for any manager, for any pitching coach. You experience that turnover, trying to do the best you can to make sure guys are ready, guys are equipped in their preparation, the information, whatever it may be.
And Mike Scioscia's mentioned that in the past, saying, hey, when these guys come up, this is not an instructional league. We expect them to do their job when they get called up here to the big league level.
That discussion going on was coming from the Angels dugout, and Mike Scioscia with the home plate umpire, Shane Livensparger.
That's Mike Scioscia. He is not afraid to try to maybe get a few calls to go his direction. Bob Melvin is going to be bargained from the other side.
And that's this ballpark is a dinosaur in terms of layout, and one of the unique things is the dugouts are so far from home plate. The manager usually ends up on that rail so he can be in shouting distance to the home plate umpire. And that's where Charles Nagy was, and that's where Mike Scioscia is right now, right on that rail. That's in the inside of the dugout.
Yeah, the Coliseum does not lend itself to using your indoor voice. You're looking to get somebody's attention, you get up on that rail, but that's again, that's part of being a leader. You're going to go to bat for your guys. Scioscia, one of the best at it.
Fernandez hits one fair and into the corner. Racing for it is Piscotty. He can't get it, and that means Calhoun is going to score. He had one shot at it before it got to the wall, and once he didn't, Calhoun is in for the first run of the ball game.
Well, one thing with this right here, Cole Calhoun gets a tremendous jump. He reads it quickly and realizes that Piscotty is not going to make this play, so he's shifted gears as we get to it. Dino Ebel, you can see the jump right here by Cole Calhoun. He identifies quickly that this is not going to be made, and he just keeps hustling hard. Dino Ebel gets the windmill going, and Calhoun scores easily on that double by Jose Fernandez.
So it's 1-0 Angels, and for the second time, you've got Trout in an RBI spot with a runner in scoring position. Fernandez has the only 2 hits for the Angels and the only 2 hits of the ball game. Trout lined out to left center field his first time up.
We saw that in last night's ball game. Both pitchers first 3 innings actually took 30 minutes to play. This is something unheard of in the game of baseball. Both pitchers were on their game. 1 hit through the first 3 innings, and then the A's kicked that door open in the 4th inning. A 6-run 4th inning, as we talked about Stephen Piscotty. But there were some just great at-bats by the A's in that game last night.
Trout with his home run on Tuesday gives him 3 35-homer seasons, and that is the most in Angels history.
Now, what more can you say about Mike Trout? You hit it on the head. He could retire right now and probably have an outside shot of getting into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, you think about the 7-year peak. Well, that's Mike Trout. That's his career. He's still peaking.
He's only 26, right? And when he hit his 30th, the only players in baseball history with 3 seasons of 30 homers and 20 stolen bases, Mike Trout and Willie Mays. That's pretty elite company.
Another good center fielder.
Kevin, special guy.
Yeah, he is. You know, be doing stuff around here in the Bay Area. You hear a lot about Willie Mays and everything he did, Barry Bonds. He's on that level, right? He has to be.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I get to see him every day, and I've seen every one of his at-bats since he came up to the big leagues, and it's getting better and better. Again, we talk about a guy that's pushed the bar so high, and this is Edwin Jackson. There's a base open. You can see Edwin Jackson is no way is he going to give in to Mike Trout in this at-bat. But he's pushing that bar even higher, and it's hard to believe a guy that's already a 2-time MVP, 3-time runner-up, has the ability to continue to grow, and you see that with Mike Trout.
See what he gets. 3-1. Fernandez in scoring position. Ohtani's on deck, and Trout hits it in the air to right. Piscotty has a good arm. Tagging is Fernandez, and he's going to get to third, and he's there with 2 outs. And now Ohtani now for his second at bat.
Wow, Edwin Jackson, I think, gets away with one right here. This is a slider, 3-1 slider, but it is down. This is the area where Mike Trout absolutely makes a living. Anything down, he is one of the best in the game of baseball, and this is right in his hot zone is right there. And Trout, you could tell that he was not too happy that he missed that, because he talks about it a lot. He gets pitched around so much that when he gets his chance and his pitch to do something, he can't miss it.
Well, I think the fact, Langer, that was a backup slider, that backup cutter, that right there, we talk about, if we can bottle that, we would love to take that out there on the mound with us, but I think Ejak's got away with one there.
Ball in the dirt. Fagley got a piece of it, and enough that it's going to keep the runner at third base. Fernandez had thoughts of it, and had it rolled another 10 feet or so, he would have had a chance to score.
And that's a tough read from a guy that's at third base. You're trying to read this ball. You got to really quickly decide how far away is it from the catcher. If it's bouncing towards the third base side or towards the A's dugout, this is one you have a better read with. But the one going away from you, you're not quite sure how far. You don't want to take a chance, especially with Fernandez. Doesn't have that plus speed.
Ohtani has been hot the last 2 weeks, hitting almost 370.
Now, one thing with Shohei Ohtani too is it was actually very funny when it wasn't funny because the day that they were announced that he's going to have Tommy John surgery, he goes out and offensively has the best day he's had here in the majors. He went 4 for 4 with 2 home runs the same day he was told that he's going to have Tommy John. And these are the 13 games he's had since he was told he's going to have Tommy John. And you can see the numbers. And so he was asked.
Simeon, fighting the sun, makes the catch. And the Angels get a run. Jose Fernandez drives in Cole Calhoun. And a 1-0 lead for the Angels. For the Oakland Athletics, it looks like it's a wild card showdown with the New York Yankees. Where it will be played, that's not to be determined. But the last time they met was 2001. And Oakland has not had great success against New York in the postseason. Let's go back, gentlemen, to 2001 ALDS. What do you remember about this series?
Well, for me, I remember that Derek Jeter, I think, turned the whole series around with the play at the plate here in Oakland.
That's right. I was just going to say it. Langer, slide! Giambi, get down!
Oakland was up 2-0 in this series. Yeah, they still had the big three. That's Tim Hudson out on the mound. That's game 2 and 2-0. And then back to Oakland, right? Not the Tower of Power, but the series. And this is that play.
And they talked about Derek Jeter had mentioned that this is a play that they worked on in spring training and yada. I don't know how much of that I'm buying. I think it's just a matter of the captain being in the right spot at the right time.
It's a read. Those are the instinctual stuff that we talked about with Andrelton Simmons and Omar Vizquel, the great shortstop that used to play with the Cleveland Indians, potential Hall of Famer. These are decisions that you just can't teach. You have to be able to see it. You see it materializing. You see where this throw's going. And Jeter just goes in there and ends up doing the old shovel pass.
That's game 5.
And then the dive into the stands. He actually caught the ball, took a few steps, and then found his way into the stands. But
second appearance by Eric Burns on the show. And Mariano Rivera strikes him out. So, look, this is a long ways away from 2001, right? We're in 2018, and this is the season series. Dallas, you've seen all of these games. It's right down the middle. No team seems to have a big advantage.
No, I agree with that. The one thing that I do think about is, and this is getting away from the numbers, and this is getting into sort of the feel, having watched the season unfold for the Oakland A's, and there's been a lot of talk about it. We're not talking about anything that nobody's aware of or anybody isn't aware of. Here at home, maybe you don't have quite as many fans taking in the ball games night in, night out. So for the A's, when they hit the road is when you get those 35,000, 40,000 type venues. Well, if they take it out to New York, they're used to that. They're okay with that.
And Bob Melvin told us today that it's one of the things that impresses him, Josh Phegley is the hitter, about his young team, is that none of these young players who are experiencing meaningful games in September, most of them for the very first time, none of them have shied away. Some of them feed on that juice that you talked about. Big crowds on the road. Oakland is a decidedly better offensive team on the road than they are at home.
No doubt. And you want to take that team, the Oakland A's, who lead the world in homers on the road, out to that phone booth in New York. Good luck. And now you want to bring the Oakland A's back home and compete here, where you've got, on a wild card day, I promise you, there will be 35,000 screaming fans here, beating their drums and causing a scene here for whoever it is that finds their way into the stadium.
1-1 pitch, and Phegley pulls it into left field for a base hit. Oakland's first hit comes from their number 9 hitter, and it sets up the top of the lineup. Martini, Chapman, and then Lowry. Of course, we told you earlier, Bob Melvin said, look, we're not even talking about the postseason until we get there, because he knows the Tampa Bay Rays are not going away. They're just not losing right now. Oakland's magic number is 6. The Rays are 5.5 behind them. Oakland needs some help back east. It'd be nice if the Red Sox would beat the Yankees once in this series. The Yankees have won the first 2. Oakland is 2.5 behind the Yankees for home field in that wild card. And of course, Houston is still within reach. Oakland is 4 back of Houston to win the West. Martini struck out back in the first. Phegley, the catcher's at first. And Shoemaker misses away.
But I think that might be one of the biggest surprises of the season. It's not that the A's have played really well, is that they are breathing down the Houston Astros' neck. From the standpoint, I don't think there's anybody that's been around the game of baseball that didn't think that the Houston Astros would run away with this division. Even the Angels had a great offseason. They got a lot of new players. They fixed a lot of the holes. And you felt like the Angels were able to close the gap a little bit.
Martini into right. Calhoun has it. Fegley stops at second. And Oakland has led off the third with back-to-back hits.
Langer, I'm with you. I had expected a lot from the Halos this season with the offseason they had. They go out and get Cozart, and that adds depth. They signed Kinsler. I mean, they had a lot going on, a lot to be excited about, and obviously it didn't quite work out the way that the Halos would have liked.
Yeah, but not only that, they re-upped Justin Upton.
Right, you bring him back, you continue to keep him in the fold, and I'm with you. I think at some point there was an expectation that the AL West eventually could have been won by almost a month's worth of games, and that just was not the case.
Yep.
All right, here's Chapman, who lined out, hit probably the hardest ball of the day back in the first inning. And that one is popped foul and out of play. You have to wait in this ballpark to say out of play, because there is more foul territory in this ballpark now than any in baseball. It's the only stadium left in baseball that also houses an NFL team.
And one of two left with bullpens on the playing field. Three, excuse me.
This is one you are taught, no matter who you are, when the ball's in the air, you just keep running, because there's more space than you think.
And there's more outs than usual if you can get a hitter to pop a ball up.
I had no problem pitching in this Coliseum.
Well, before they put the stands that we're looking at straight in front of us, this was one of the most beautiful ballparks in baseball. Just stunning. And I think day baseball here in Oakland, it rivals Wrigley Field. And they play a lot of day games here, but I don't know if there's a better place for day baseball.
It's Mountain Davis, Langer. Enjoy it.
Yes, it is.
Now, they're talking about the aircraft carrier that was parked in center field that was built specifically for football. The football team is on its way to Las Vegas in a year now, and the organization here is very close to naming a site for a new ballpark, which is so vital for this franchise to continue to. You look at this great core that they've got of all these young talented players, and that's been the biggest challenge here, is being able to keep cores together. Chapman off the end of his bat, because of this ballpark and the economics of the game. You've got the creativity of Billy Beane and David Forst. It's great to turn over and discover a new group of players every 2-3 years, but that can erode a fan base's patience. And this group, if the Athletics can keep this group together and get them into that new ballpark, I think they'll really have something.
Well, and for the first time in a long time, for the first time ever, really, you've heard members of that front office sort of mention a level of frustration with the turnover that seems to be inevitable.
You want fans in the Bay Area to buy Matt Chapman jerseys for their kids or for themselves, knowing that in 4 or 5 years they can still wear that Matt Chapman jersey.
Right. That's the goal.
And Chapman here in a big spot. Cespedes certainly is one of those guys that was here in a flash and then gone. Martini's at first, Fegley's at second, and a 2-2 from Shoemaker. Chapman lines it, and it gets by Upton. It goes to the wall. Here comes Fegley. Martini's right behind him. This is going to knock in 2, and Oakland has the lead. And it's Chapman that does it.
And for Matt Chapman, double number 41 on the season. And this is a fastball from Matt Shoemaker, not a split, a fastball that catches a lot of the plate. And those are mistakes that you can't make, certainly to Matt Chapman, from the standpoint of how hot he has been in the second half. Justin Upton gives it a great try, cannot catch up to it. This ball is squared up, gets to the fence. Talked about Martini at the top. He can run. He's able to score all the way from first base on this effort right here by Justin Upton and give the A's a 2-1 lead.
Scorched that ball was. Matt Chapman stays inside that baseball, and it still hit hard enough to hook and get past Upton out in left field. Typically, a guy stays inside of that ball. You might see that ball sort of tail. Not the case.
Here is Lowry now. Kevin Franzen, what did you see in that at bat?
Well, we talk about
the A's and the lack of stolen bases, but with Martini on first right there, that read, Justin Upton's diving after the ball, and he's around second base. That was an amazing jump. That's the athleticism. It doesn't mean stolen bases, but taking the extra base like you can right there, and that was awesome.
And you've got Chapman now in scoring position. Lowry struck out back in the first. Chris Davis looms large on deck. Into right. Late start. Chapman to third, and that's it. Calhoun, a strong arm. And that's a very different read there. You got to wait till that ball is in before you break into the outfield, and Chapman ends up at third. Lowry's at first, in a great position now for Chris Davis. And our guest Charles Nagy is on his way out to the mound.
Yeah, it looks like the Oakland A's have tapped into that fourth inning from last night. Got 4 straight knocks to open up the third frame here.
And again, they're doing it on mistakes. The Oakland A's are one of the best teams in baseball at really making you pay for your mistakes. This pitch from Matt Shoemaker is actually not that bad. This ball's down. It's a good at-bat from Jed Lowry. Saw that in last night's game, and certainly when you give those good at-bats, when you execute a pitch on the outer half of the plate and you were expecting somebody to pull the baseball and they don't, that's what you see right there. And that run right there, Jed Lowry, that ball was down and he was able to go down and get it.
Angels bullpen is scrambling right now to get ready. As we talked about, Shoemaker is on a pitch limit. They don't want him near that 100 pitch mark as his season started late. And the veteran right-hander Jim Johnson is trying to get loose as fast as he can, but this is going to be a Chris Davis, Matt Shoemaker matchup with runners at the corners.
And the Angels are going to play, I think their middle infielders are going to play back double play. They will give up this run for 2, and nobody better in the game of baseball than the Angels at turning double plays. Top double play team in all of baseball.
Davis with a swing and a miss. If you've never watched Chris Davis in person or on television and you looked at his numbers, especially the last 3 years that Dallas has been talking about, you would think he's 6'5", 230 pounds, and one of the Bash brothers, right? Canseco or McGuire. This guy's 5'10" and is not over 200 pounds, but he's solid. I mean, really solid.
Well, he's got some pipes.
That's a high pop-up. And that's going to get into the seats. Now, Davis is listed at 5'10", 195. Now, remember, he started his career in Milwaukee and showed signs there that he was going to be a presence. It wasn't until he got here that he really thrived. And I know, look, this is the day and age of the new swing, but he was launch angle before there was launch angle. Right? I mean, he was doing that when he walked into the big leagues.
Well, I jokingly say that if Chris Davis wakes up, Chris Davis is now in scoring position. and that's essentially been the case for him. There's obviously the swing and miss has been well documented, and that's why I think the second half of his season, and frankly this season as a whole, comparatively speaking to those in the past, we have seen that maturation process take place.
Oh, this is count 0-2 right here. Matt Shoemaker, this ball cannot be anywhere close to the plate. This is where you want to expand that strike zone and try to get Chris Davis to go with you.
Good block there by Arcia. Inning started with a Josh Fagley single. Fagley hitting under 200, the 9-hitter. Shoemaker had gone the first 8 hitters without giving up a hit. He singled. Nick Martini followed with a single. Chapman's double. Knocked home 2. Lowry's single.
Again, this is what we saw last night. Felix Pena was perfect through the first 3 innings. And next thing you know, a Nick Martini leadoff single the opposite direction led to a huge inning where the A's scored 6.
Davis chases. Shoemaker gets the strikeout. And that brings up Matt Olson.
Good slider right there. Once again, you got count leverage. You got to take advantage of this. Matt Shoemaker knows Chris Davis will swing out of the strike zone. This slider is out. It's a perfectly located slider by Matt Shoemaker. You can see the very defensive swing right there of Chris Davis. That is well executed by Matt Shoemaker. Again, work ahead, expand, and he was able to do it.
Here now is Olson, who walked back in the second. Now, Mike Scioscia told us that last time out, Shoemaker's split was the best that he's seen this year. What was the difference in that split, in that start, to the split here?
We've seen some good ones here today, and we've seen some that have tumbled in, but his last start was the power behind the split. He was throwing some splits at 89 miles an hour, 88, 89, and his split is usually that 85, 86 range, so he had a little more velocity. And when you create a little more velocity with the depth that you get out of that, it becomes that much more difficult for a hitter. They're reading the arm speed. They think it's a fastball. They go to attack, and there's nothing to attack.
That was a great job as far as sequencing was concerned, especially against KD there. That split down and away with 2 on him. And then you go to that slider that can be tunneled out of that fastball release point as well. KD thinks he's got to go. It's a good job by Shoemaker.
Matt Olson has hit into 13 double plays this year. This is a guy, if you could get him to beat it on the ground. It's a good double play combination at second base. Caleb Cowell, we talked about his Gold Glove defense at third base. He's at second base here today.
Olson swings and misses. There's nobody better in baseball right now at turning double plays than the Angels, and that's all about Andrelton Simmons. 163 double plays is the best in baseball, and Simmons has been involved in 110 of those.
He is such a leader on this ball club. Anytime Charlie Nagy, the Angels pitching coach, goes to the mound, Simmons is involved in the conversation. Anytime the catcher goes out to have a conversation, he's involved in that conversation. This is why he's a throwback. He has the baseball instincts, again, that you just can't teach.
And he got him with a strikeout. Late call by Livensparger, but it was in the strike box. It was a strike.
And again, ahead in the strike zone, where do you go? You go for corners, you go for maybe off the plate. He's trying to get it on the inner half of the plate, and this ball actually tails all the way almost to the outer half, but stays elevated. And that's that high strike that hitters can't stand it, but pitchers, they love every second of it.
Take it.
Now Piscotty, who lined one to the warning track in right field. A great catch by Cole Calhoun. 4 hits and then 2 strikeouts for Shoemaker in a lengthy third inning.
And this might be the end of Matt Shoemaker after this inning, no matter what happens. If he can wiggle out of this, that would be a big boost for the Angels. It's right now at 61 pitches, and he's got 22 in this inning. So for Matt Shoemaker, this is still spring training for Matt Shoemaker, trying to lay that base down. I would almost assume this might be his last inning.
The 1-0. And Piscotty chases. That's a ball and a strike. Stephen Piscotty doesn't have a vote, but if he did, for National League Manager of the Year, it would be Mike Schilt, who took over for the St. Louis Cardinals, has done a wonderful job with them, organizational guy, and was in the minor leagues and really helped Piscotty get through some rough spots when he was coming up in the Cardinals organization. Piscotty gives him a lot of credit for keeping him advancing through the system.
Oh, at the major league level, you've got to rely on other people.
Piscotty to left and hit well. Up and back. It is gone. 3-run shot. Huge night last night and an enormous home run today. Stephen Piscotty is wrecking the Angels. And it's 5-1.
You know how important Stephen Piscotty has been to this lineup. We've talked about it. As hot as anybody on the planet right now, as hot as anybody in this lineup. And he continues to take advantage of those triple counts, mistakes. This year, just a spinner up in the zone.
And we just talked about the great pitch that Matt Shoemaker was able to do the last 2 hitters with Chris Davis with guys in scoring position. Chris Davis, a tremendous slider on that outer half, and then he got Matt Olson ahead. This is the slider that Matt Shoemaker would like to get back. This is a slider that stays well over the plate, and again, there's guys in this lineup with the A's that they are able to really do some damage when you make a mistake, and Piscotty is smoking hot right here in this series.
Well, Matt Shoemaker looked great to start with, but Oakland, you saw the extra base hit leaders. Oakland is a slugging machine right now. They do damage, doubles, home runs, and they can get to you quickly. And Piscotty's 3-run home run, his 26th. He's hit 8 homers in his last 20 ball games.
There's Matt Shoemaker, not real happy. And again, you beat yourself up as a pitcher. You replay the tape, and he's still replaying the tape of that breaking ball right there. He was almost out of it. He gives up a couple of runs, gets back-to-back strikeouts. You're almost able to work your way out of that jam, and then a slider that just doesn't get to the spot. And as you know, Dallas fan, those are the ones that keep you up at night staring at the ceiling.
Well, you nailed it, Langer. One pitch away from things being completely different, and you will. That'll eat at you, and typically you'll spend those next 5 days rehashing it, trying to flush it, get it out of your mind. But I think there are some bright spots to take away from the outing for Shoemaker today. Obviously, the numbers don't line up with what he would like to leave the ball game with. But ultimately, if he's healthy tomorrow, the bounce back occurs. To your point, you saw some good splits today, saw a couple good sliders. It's about knocking the rust off.
Exactly right, and that's how we can view it, and everybody else that's kind of analyzing Matt Shoemaker. Matt Shoemaker is not going to do that. It's just the way you're built. You don't want to hear that, hey, I'm still in spring training. These things matter, and these things mean something to you.
Yep.
You wait all week. You're like a caged animal. The cage opens up once every 5 days, and you want to go out there and do your job.
So Jim Johnson is in. Ramon Laureano is up. Bob Melvin will be our guest when we get to the between-inning break between the third and the fourth. The A's aren't cooperating with the format right now with all the hits and all the runs. 5 runs here, 5 hits here in the third inning. Outfield plays Laureano to right center. He goes that way. Cowart cuts it off and flips to first. Big inning for the Oakland Athletics. A 2-run double by Matt Chapman. And a 3-run homer by Stephen Piscotty. His 26th of the season. His second 3-run homer in less than 24 hours.
That's what he does. That's what he does.
And so Oakland has the lead. And we're blessed to be joined by the skipper of the Oakland Athletics. Bob Melvin joins us. Many people have him in the very top of the Manager of the Year voting. Skipper, how are you today?
I'm good now.
All right. I'm sure you are. Now, look, this is an interactive show. We've had a lot of fans that have questions for you, so I'm going to send some your way. Jay wants to know the concept of the opener. You guys have used that. Why did you go with Liam Hendricks and back him up with Mengden? What went into that decision?
Well, what we're doing is we're taking an inning away from the starter at the beginning of the game that's typically the toughest inning for a starter, and replacing him with a reliever who's had good success, just going 1 inning. And then it cuts down on the times that the starter needs to go through the top of the order.
All right, Peter wants to know, he says you've done a wonderful job as manager. Of the managers you played for and coached under, what style resembles yours most from those guys?
You know what, I don't know that I have a real style. It just depends on the type of team I have. You know, if we have a team that hits home runs, we're not going to try to steal a lot of bases. If I have a type of team that's got a lot of fast players and we try to put some things in motion and, you know, doesn't hit too many home runs, then you go to that style. So I have to acclimate to the type of team we have.
I know better than to ask you who's going to start the wild card game. That's one of the fans' questions. I'll move on.
Yeah, we move on.
Yeah, we do. How do you, and this is a good one, you have had a lot of turnover here. How do you keep the chemistry in this clubhouse and with this team, with all the turnover and the young players that have come up throughout the year?
Well, we embrace young players here. Typically, we have quite a few of them. So, you know, we're lucky enough to have some guys now that are actual leaders as far as some of these younger guys. So, it's easy to do with this club. Sometimes with turnover a little bit different, but you have to rely on some veteran guys, and you have to rely on your coaching staff.
All right, good questions, good answers, Bob. Thanks for the visit. Continued success and good luck if you get to that postseason.
All right, thank you.
All right, Bob Melvin, and as I said, if you've got a ballot, if you're out there for Manager of the Year in the American League, that's one of the guys that has to be given great consideration.
No doubt. Talk about doing less, or excuse me, doing more with less, or doing as much as he's been able to do with maybe not as much as is going around the league in some other places. Kevin Cash is a name we've talked about. Alex Cora, though coming into a pretty soft landing for year one.
He's done a fantastic job. Sometimes it's not that easy when you have all the superstars and lining that up, making sure everybody's pulling the rope in the same direction. But Alex Cora's done a fantastic job. There's no doubt about it. Bob Melvin's got to be there.
Kevin Cash from the Rays, with their run, has to be. So I mean, I think those are the three in the American League, right?
Yeah.
Melvin, Cora, and Cash.
I think that's more than fair to say. And just to touch on Alex Cora, one of the things that I don't think people are going to give him a ton of credit for, but definitely needs to be paid attention to, is the move that was made very early on to part ways with Hanley Ramirez. Dave Dombrowski came out and mentioned that this was something that Alex Cora definitely had a part in, had a hand in, was actually the one who spearheaded the move. And to walk into that room year one and make a move like that with somebody who has meant what Hanley had meant to that team, that took a lot of guts. That took a lot of leadership early on. And I think it's moves like that that really helped that clubhouse sort of see who they had in Alex Cora. This is a guy who really does have the club's and the team's best interests at heart. He'll put his arm around you if he needs to. He'll get his foot in you if he needs to, but at the end of the day, he's got one thing on his mind, and that's the best thing for the Boston Red Sox.
Andrelton Simmons, Edwin Jackson struck out Justin Upton. Francisco Arcia will make a guest appearance, and that's a liner that just hooks foul off the bat of Simmons. 5-1 Oakland. If you're just joining us on Facebook Watch and you're new to Major League Baseball on Facebook Watch, you see the comments that are on your screen and you don't like those. If you want them to go away, if you've got a phone or a tablet, swipe right. They will go away. If, like my kids, you're streaming from a laptop or a PC and you're streaming up to the big screen in your home and the comments are there, click the quiet button or expand it to full screen and the comments go away. But those questions, the questions that the fans had for Bob Melvin, all good, all intelligent. I didn't get to the Cal versus Stanford thing. And he wanted no part of the who's going to start the wild card game. And I knew that, but just had to reinforce that his message was, we're not even talking about or thinking about the postseason. We got to get there first.
Well, with that being said, too, you don't want to tip your hand. From this, nobody knows what the A's are going to do. They have been the hardest team to figure out when you talk to from the pitching standpoint. Obviously, they have some different options. If they want to go bullpen, they have the ability to do that. If they want to go with Edwin Jackson, who has documented how well he has pitched. Brett Anderson pitched very well last night. Mike Fiers is a guy that has really come to the A's and given them a lift. So they have a ton of options. And as a manager, you don't ever want to tip your hand as much as you possibly can. And certainly that's the right thing. That's a politically correct thing to say is, hey, we're not in the postseason yet. We can't talk about postseason.
Well, you think about Nick Saban and the two quarterback issue that he's dealing with. You know what? Sometimes you just don't want to give that other team an opportunity to game plan for who you're thinking about running out there. So while the roster construction has a lot to do with it, I do think there is some gamesmanship involved when you have the ability to sort of keep the other guy guessing as to how you're going to go about your business.
Well, Shohei Ohtani comes over from Japan, and when you're over in Japan, you have no idea who the starting pitcher is. They warm up underneath the stadium, so you can't figure out a scouting report. You have a kind of an idea until the guy runs out on the field for the first inning.
Simmons swings and misses and strikes out. And so Edwin Jackson, who wobbled in the first, wobbled in the third, has a pair of strikeouts to open up the fourth, and Francisco Arcia to the plate.
Well, you can see what a 4-run lead will do for you as a starting pitcher right there. It allows the freedom to be able to just kind of relax. You've got plenty of wiggle room, and you just get in an attack mode at this point.
Edwin Jackson has breathed new life into his career because his last couple of seasons were not good ones. And of course, he's well traveled. So if you go back and plot where he's been, last year he was in Baltimore and Washington, a short commute, but not a good ERA, a 5.21 ERA. In 2016, he was a Marlin and a Padre. His ERA was close to 6. But this year his ERA is down near 3. And a good back foot breaking ball there. And he's a strike away from striking out the side here in the 4th.
I talked to Edwin when he first arrived here in Oakland, and I asked him sort of what he thinks has been the reason for the success he was having that saw him identified by the Oakland A's. And that just leads me back to him saying, you know what, man, I'm not trying to outmuscle this game. I'm not trying to be any bigger than I need to for the situation.
1-2. Got him right at the letters, and it caught the plate, and Edwin Jackson strikes out the side. He's got 7 punch outs in the ball game.
Another good slider here. He actually, or excuse me, a curveball, but this one sits up in the zone. Not an easy pitch for these hitters to hit. I know a lot of times you think breaking balls, we want to bury these things, and clearly not as executed as he'd like to, but I think about the way the game is being pitched today. Velocity up in the zone, breaking balls up in the zone, and I think that's why you see some guys get away with those mistakes up in the zone. Not an easy pitch to get on plane with.
Our Manager of the Year discussion in the American League, we started it with Bob Melvin, and certainly I think he's the leader in the clubhouse right now, 91 and 61. Alex Cora, though, has the Red Sox on a record pace, though they've been unable to beat the Yankees and help the Athletics. And the run that the Rays are on is just incredible. Their first winning record since 2003. Look at that, 28 and 13 runs. Scott Service had Seattle in the race. He's probably in the others receiving votes category in that. And I think this is the guy. Look at that.
Well, if you talk about
June 16th.
Yeah, you talk about Kevin Cash and Bob Melvin, 2 teams that weren't expected to be where they are, and they are where they are because it's different. When you have a different philosophy than what everybody else is kind of doing, and it's working, that's what's going to draw attention. The Oakland A's, the lowest payroll in all of baseball. So with that being said, and what they have been able to accomplish this year is quite impressive. And Bob Melvin, he has been outstanding for this organization ever since he's gotten here.
There were expectations certainly for the Red Sox and obviously for the Astros. There was improvement expected for Oakland, but nobody expected 91 wins, and by the time they're done, it'll probably be high 90 wins.
That's the goal. Obviously, you're looking to get to the postseason, and that right there, and that's what I mean when I say, and I think that's what everybody means when they say doing more with less. Financially, you just haven't been put in a position to go out and acquire big names. You just don't have that sort of team built. So it's going to take a total organizational effort to get to where you are today. I know we talked about expanded rosters in September baseball and how those individuals can help, but it starts with the man right now in the lineup.
Marcus Semien now with Fagley behind him, and Semien punches that one into left field. And that's a leadoff hit, and Oakland certainly did a lot of that in the 3rd inning. They knocked Matt Shoemaker out of the ball game. Jim Johnson continues. The Stephen Piscotty 3-run home run, a Matt Chapman 2-run double. Those were the big hits.
It was just a sinker up from JJ Jim Johnson. We know how good he can be if that anvil is down in the zone. Tough guy. He can be a tough guy to elevate. But for Jim Johnson, it's going to be about location. If that thing's working down in the zone, he can get these guys to beat it into the ground, let the outstanding defense work.
I think it was interesting when you're talking about, again, the lower payrolls. It's interesting hearing Billy Beane talk about this and say, hey, most teams have a 5-year window. We are a year-to-year window based on how we play in the first half.
Simeon's running. Fagley hits a liner to center. Trout's on the move, and he makes the catch. Simeon's on his way back to first, and he's going to be doubled up. Trout kind of got tangled up as he made the catch. And on a hit and run, Fagley hit it right on the nose. But it's a double play.
And I want to make sure Trout's okay on this ball. He didn't know whether he was going to dive he is so quick at great jumps that Trout can close the gap on things that most people can't. And this one, it's in between. And the line drive right at an outfielder is the toughest one for him to read. They don't have any depth perception. So Trout comes flying in. He actually gets to the spot and realizes, I don't have to die. Awkwardly kind of makes this catch. Completely fooled Semyon right there, and he's able to double him up.
Well, this ball is hit so hard, Langers. This thing is knuckling, and you can see, to your point, Trout plays a deeper center field because of his ability to range.
That's Andrelton Simmons, and unable to pick it was Fernandez. And Nick Martini's got himself first base. Whether it's a hit or whether it's an error, we'll have to wait and see. Let's check in with Kevin Franzen. Kevin?
Langer, hey, when you look at Mike Trout and how much better he's gotten out in the outfield, is it him going back on balls or coming in on balls? Because before, I felt like he was almost just side-to-side guy.
Yeah, he's definitely improved. And going back on a baseball has always been a strength of his. He always plays a deeper center field than most center fielders because he has that above-average speed. The thing that has really changed Mike Trout, and we saw a little bit right there, is his throwing mechanics. They are so much better. This guy shows up to spring training as the best player in the game of baseball, and he is focused like nobody's business to improve defensively. So he's worked with Dino Ebel, the coach with the Angels, third base coach for the Angels, on his outfield mechanics, not only reading balls and coming in and getting better at that aspect. To me, he's a Gold Glove center fielder this year, and there's been he hasn't made an error yet all season long. And Mike Trout wants to win a Gold Glove, and the couple of other guys that are usually in the conversation, Kiermaier and Byron Buxton, haven't really played a lot this year. So this could be the year that Mike Trout wins this Gold Glove in center field. We see him every day, and the defensive plays that he makes, they're game-changing. He gets the balls, and so many times we see outfielders are diving for balls. You don't see Mike Trout dive for balls very rarely. He has that extraordinary ability to get the good jump and has that upper-level speed.
Matt Chapman, two-run double and a line drive out. He's had good swings today. And this one is in the air, right center field. Calhoun and Trout, and it falls between them. Martini's going to end up at third base. Chapman is aboard. And Oakland still alive here in the fourth, and that gets Jed Lowry to the plate.
Oh, this is a ball here. This is a Oakland Coliseum baseball right here. Trout does not read this at all. He can't see it. And by the time he gets to it, it's too late. This is a ball that Cole Calhoun, who is playing a little deeper also. Calhoun plays it deep right field. And this is one that Mike Trout I don't think he saw it. He was late getting to the ball.
When we talk about a high sky a lot of the time out in spring training in Arizona, not much of a background for you to gauge your depth perception off of, and the same thing kind of going on here today. Not a cloud in the sky in the East Bay makes it very difficult to read balls up in the air, those flares, and again that low liner hard at Trout. Not an easy play that he was able to make.
Yeah, there is not a routine play that's hit in the air here in this ballpark. Kevin Franzen. Sorry, man, I kind of took that and ran. We didn't get that combo back. That San Jose State combination going back and forth, brother.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
Yeah.
Spartans for life.
On a hop, and that eats Cowart alive. And Oakland's going to get another run. Lowry, a hard smash. And for Caleb Cowart, Kevin Franzen, that is a do-or-die play.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a third baseman, I think he has an advantage on that because he could take a step back. And he tried to, chest up on that, and it just doesn't go right. Give yourself an extra step back, evaluate it more, and you're okay.
And Caleb Cowart has talked a lot. He's got to wear a lot of different hats. He can play first base, third base for you. He's played second base today. He's done some outfield work, being very versatile, trying to keep himself at the major league level. And the more versatility you have is the more options are going to be open for you. And that one right there, that ball was hit hard, by the way. A tricky little hop. And I know this is the big leagues and you expect every play to be made, but that was a tricky hop.
That's a base hit with an RBI. The ball to Andrelton Simmons that he threw low was ruled an error.
Bad error.
I think that's an error because you expect Simmons to to make that play.
And that's only the 10th error this season for Andrelton Simmons. And there, we talked about Matt Shoemaker. We saw it earlier, a guy that was beating himself up maybe a little bit too hard. And Simmons is that same guy where he makes an error, he is bitter. He expects not like that.
Yeah, he expects everything to be made. He expects that of himself. That's why he is as good as he is. There's just a different level of expectation.
Sometimes it's unfair, a ball like that.
Davis in the gap in the left center field. That's going to bring home Chapman. Lowry cruises into third, and Oakland gets a 2-out RBI hit from Chris Davis. And the A's have really cracked this one open here at 7-1.
And this is part of that maturation process we talk about. KD got a nice little cushion at the dish. Might be an opportunity, you'd think, to take a big swing, try to do some real damage. Instead, he keeps it quiet, keeps it short to the baseball. Jed Lowry does a good job of going first to third. That's a hallmark of a Mike Scioscia ball club.
That's Mike Scioscia always tells his hitters or his players, I want you aggressive on the base pass. If you get thrown out, so be it. Let's make the defense execute. And certainly right there with Jed Lowry. Doesn't have very good speed, average speed at best, but going first to third and going to try to force the issue there.
Well, this is going to be a big at bat here for Jim Johnson, and likewise for the Oakland A's with Matt Olson. Jim Johnson, the sinker baller, that arm side run away from the lefty at times. Lefties perceive that to be a pitch that is thrown right onto their barrel or right into their bat path. Matt Olson, a guy who's tried to use left field more and more.
Olson in his center field. Trout's not to get this one on a hop. And another run comes across. Lowry scores. Olson with a hit. And Oakland has really opened it up.
And not only they opened it up, boy, you could go back to that play that Mike Trout made on Josh Fagley. This could have been a lot bigger inning. But Trout was able to double up Marcus Semien, who was running on that play. But this right here is right in the middle of the plate. And when you talk sinker, you got to get down. This ball stays up just enough. Those are the ones that get hit hard. This one goes out to Mike Trout. He's got it in, get it in quickly, and the A's are rolling right now.
That's into left field. That's a base hit. Davis around third. They will send him. Upton's throw to the plate, and he's in there. And Oakland has stretched the lead to 9-1. 6 hits in this inning. 11 hits over the last 2 innings. 9 runs in the last 2 innings.
Well, it's a lengthy lineup. You can go all the way back up to Matt Chapman. And from there, it's knock, 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 knock. They continue to pass the baton, and this is what they mean when they say hitting is contagious. You catch the bug, you pass the baton, next man up.
Boy, this is so similar to last night's ball game where the A's were shut down the first 3 innings by Felix Pena, and then they just came out in that 4th inning. It was completely different at bats. We're seeing it here. The A's are scoring runs. They have 1 home run. That was the 3-run shot by Stephen Piscotty. They have 9 runs on the board. This is a team that lives and dies by usually the long ball. We didn't see it last night. They got most of their runs by doing it, going the other direction. And certainly they've done that again here today.
Mike Scioscia's on his way out to the mound. A pitching change coming here. That's the other similarity from today to last night. And in this 24-hour span, Stephen Piscotty last night drove in 5 with a 3-run homer and a 2-run double. He's driven in 4 with a 3-run homer and now an RBI single. Piscotty's got 9 RBIs in less than 24 hours. Can
you say player of the week? he's working on it real quick right here.
All right, let's compare, shall we? We go back to last night. You watched last night. You broadcast it on the Angels radio network. Here's the home run last night. And he's another guy like Chris Davis. He'll shoot it to right. This obviously his double last night. That helped get things going for the Athletics. And then when they wanted to put it away, a breaking ball that he pulled to left and hit way out of here. And so that was last night. And here's today.
And you look at it, this is a pitch right here. Again, the slider that Matt Shoemaker would love to get it back. This just didn't get down where he wanted to. And that's where, when guys are hot and swinging the bat well, and you make that mistake, they make you pay for it. Right now, the A's certainly in the last 2 games have been all over any mistake that has been made. And Stephen Piscotty, we've seen him. This is the thing that I've been impressed by him. We saw a ball hit out to right field for the double where he drove in some runs. We've seen home runs to left field on maybe some pitches that are up in the zone. So it's not just one-dimensional, swing hard and see what happens. These guys are using the entire field.
Well, that's one of the emphasis placed on the approach of the hitting coach, Darren Bush. Mike Aldretti and Al Padrique and the rest of the crew is, we need to use the entire field. We've got a big yard here. We need to use the entire field. That will only pay dividends as we take off and hit the road. It can make you a very tough at bat. You continue to make it tough for the other teams to defend you in terms of shifting you. If you're somebody who comes up to the dish and can use the entire field, it's tough to put guys where they ain't, if you will.
Well, it goes back to the old cliche. You know, you've got to hit where the ball is pitched. If you try to, pitchers make a living on, if that ball's on the outer half and you try to pull it, thank you, because you're doing me a favor. This is what I want you to do. But if that ball's on the outer half and you go with it, that creates an issue for me on the mound.
Well, that's when we start backing up bases. That ain't fun.
Junichi Tazawa, the veteran reliever, is out of the Angels bullpen. Ramon Laureano has walked and bounced out. He's the 9th hitter this inning. The A's had 8 hit in 3rd, and they've run through Matt Shoemaker, Jim Johnson, and now here is Tazawa. Laureano shoots that one foul.
Tazawa featuring some reverse split action. 350 the righties are hitting against Junichi, 268 for the lefties.
And Tazawa doesn't throw as hard as he did when he was with the Red Sox, when the Red Sox were winning world championships. He just doesn't have that same velocity. The velocity is down, and when your velocity goes down and your secondary pitches are starting to catch up to the same speed as your velocity, this is where you could have some issues.
That's foul. Laureano has walked and bounced out. Big hits in this one. Well, just start at the top of the lineup. Nick Martinez scored a couple runs, has a hit. Matt Chapman, 2 hits, a double, a single, knocked in 2, scored 2. Lowry's 2 for 3, 2 runs scored, RBI. Davis has an RBI hit. Matt Olson is 1 for 2. Piscotty's driven in 4 more today with another 3-run homer.
Yeah, when you get production up and down your lineup, good things usually happen.
Little floater out behind first. Long run for Cowart, and he's not going to get it. The ball lands, and Oakland's got another run. Scoring is Olson. Piscotty stops at 3rd base, and Laureano has an RBI double.
All right, here's where you know that things are going your way. This is a little pop-up in no man's land in right field. Talked about Calhoun plays a little deeper than most right fielders. He can't get to it. Caleb Cowart gives chase. He can't come up to it. We've seen 2 plays in this inning that were hit really well. The one blooper where Mike Trout was not able to get identified because it was in the sun. This one right here is just threw a hand grenade out there in right field. This is perfectly located. And the line continues.
Yeah, Jordan thinks this is much like the Dubs.
The Oakland A's today 8 for 11 with runners in scoring position.
Timely hitting. Timely hitting.
That's like Steph from distance, right?
Yeah, pulling up at the label.
The Splash Brothers are 8 of 11 from. Well, the timing was great for the Bob Melvin interview. The timing for the Mike Scioscia interview, not so much. Yeah. But he will join us when this inning finally ends.
Charlie Nagy. Got to Charlie Nagy.
Into center field. That one is hit hard. Simeon delivers. 1 run across, 2 across. And Oakland has stretched it to 12-1. Simeon's 2nd hit of the inning.
Well, this is just aggression at this point. The Oakland A's lineup aggressive early in the count. If you're going to make mistakes, they have made you pay all day long.
Yeah, if you make good pitches, they're going to make you pay. Right there's a good breaking ball. This ball is down and out of the strike zone. Another good at bat. Didn't try to pull it, stayed right with it, hit it right back where it came from. There's been some quality at bats. The mistakes have been hit hard. The really good pitches, tip your cap. And boy, as you talked about it, Dallas, this is contagious right at the moment.
Well, and you can see there the early aggression just by the way that Fegley took that pitch. A 90-mile-an-hour heater up out of the zone, but it looks like he's ready to hit. Looks like something he might want to get off on.
This is an amazing inning, and Mark brought it up. The Angels started this inning with a double play. Fegley to right, and it's hit pretty well. But Calhoun is there, and he makes the catch. Oakland puts a big crooked number on the board. 7 runs, and the lead is now 12-1. The Athletics on top of the Angels. Very reminiscent of last night. Tight early, and Oakland, midway through the ball game, opened it up and won the ball game 10-0. And a 12-1 lead right now. Now, we were talking about Bob Melvin and Manager of the Year candidacy. When you talk about Mike Scioscia and the job that he's done, most managerial wins with one team, the most in Major League history. Look at the names on there, from Mack to McGraw to Bobby Cox, Walter Alston, and Mike Scioscia is on that list. I know timing is not the greatest, but he joins us now. Skip, you have had a chance to manage against this Oakland Athletic team, and obviously they're playing well right now. As they head towards the postseason, what can you tell a manager or a team that's going to face them?
Well, this started last year with these guys. I mean, you can see it brewing. They had a great second half of last year. They really finished strong and then carried it over. Hit some rough spots early in the year, but when they put it together, they've taken off. They've got a tremendous lockdown bullpen. They can make it a 6-inning game any night. And on the offensive side, you can see how they can open it up. We gave them five or six outs last inning. You're going to be lucky if you get it out without putting up a crooked number, and they put up a couple big numbers in a couple innings.
Skip, we have some fans that have some questions for you. One wants to talk about Andrelton Simmons. We've talked about him. When you get to manage this guy every day, is there something about him that you think needs to be talked about more?
Well, he wants to win. You know, I think, you know, when you see guys in the clubhouse, you see them in the dugout, you see the way they carry themselves. He's all about winning. And I just think that, you know, if you watch just his body of work at shortstop, his great feel, the lean, everything that he's got going where he can anticipate where a ball's hit. He's got, you know, he's got unbelievable hands and one of the strongest accurate arms I've ever seen from shortstop position.
Skip, thank you for coming on, and good luck the rest of the way. Health to you and the ball club. Have a great spring training. We'll see you next year.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Mike Scioscia, really kind of him. Not many managers would do that. Not many managers, down 12-1, scheduled to appear with us, would see his ball club give up 5 runs one inning and 7 the next, and gladly take the headset and answer the question. So really a big-time tip of the cap to a class act in Mike Scioscia.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. One of the most respected guys in the game of baseball, and that's who Scioscia is right there. He shows you zero emotion, good or bad. You'll never know with Mike Scioscia.
The infield shift for Caleb Cowart. Olson collects it. Jackson's there at first. He gets the out. By the way, for those of you watching on Facebook Watch, and for our esteemed American League West left-handers in the booth, Mark Langston, Dallas Braden, both of these gentlemen will be available in our social media lounge, and you'll be able to chat with each of these left-handers. Langston, of course, Mark, you had a terrific career in Seattle, in Montreal, and then, of course, with the Angels and the pride of Stockton. Dallas Braden had some great moments here as an Oakland Athletic, including the perfect game. And both you guys are doing great work on your respective teams' broadcast. Dallas, you on television. Mark, you on radio.
Yeah, it's been a blast. I've enjoyed the post-playing career and getting the opportunity to do the radio. And certainly my gig, I get to watch Mike Trout every day. And obviously Shohei Ohtani is now involved. Albert Pujols, who's on the DL at the moment. It's a lot of fun to be able to watch the superstars, and the Angels got a ton of them. To be able to play the game of baseball, Andrelton Simmons, that's my man crush, because I wanted to be a right-handed shortstop. I was a left-handed pitcher, so I love a good shortstop. So Simmons is my man crush.
.3-0 pitch. And a strike. And for you, Dallas, this is a fun ride for anyone associated with this ball club, Oakland.
Well, it's been an amazing ride for myself. I get to share a broadcast day in and day out with one of the game's greats in Ray Fosse, one of the game's greatest backstops.
Edwin Jackson's got it. Little flip to first. Okay, Edwin Jackson's body of work. Mark Langston, what do you see?
Well, you see an assortment of really good pitching, and once you work ahead, expand the strike zone. We've seen it. He's had the good fastball, the changeup, the good breaking ball working, and it's all about doing your work and getting ahead, and you can get guys to expand the strike zone. And certainly Edwin Jackson, the veteran at 35 years old, still has plenty in the tank, and he's got plenty of runs on the board. A's leading 12-1. Certainly that helps you out there, and it makes you really just settle in your game.
Well, we talk about pitching to the scoreboard, and I know a lot of people don't like to hear that, or maybe don't understand what something like that means. What that means, if you're Edwin Jackson right now pitching to the scoreboard, you need to attack the strike zone. Attack the strike zone, get ahead. No reason to try to fiddle around the peripheral of the zone. Get that hitter in the zone, get him out of the zone, and get him out of the box.
Yeah, but there's one little thing that falls into that, and I'm sure you've been involved. I know I have. In these type of games right here, this is where you can make a lot of mistakes. If your focus kind of just drifts off, next thing you know, there's pitches that you've been executing all game long, and all of a sudden they're starting to creep towards the middle of the plate. This is the big leagues. If you make mistakes over the heart of the plate, these guys are paid a lot of money to make you pay for that. And these are games that your focus can really disappear. I used to scream at myself in these kind of games. It's 1-0. It's 1-0. It's 1-0. Keep attacking, as you were talking about.
Edwin Jackson right now cruising a 12-1 lead for Oakland, top of the fifth. And certainly there are some Tampa Bay Rays and their fans who are checking out this game and this score. There are some Astro fans and personnel probably checking in on this game and this score. And you got to know the Yankees are also keeping a close watch, as they've been able to keep the Red Sox from clinching at Yankee Stadium these last two nights. They'll play again tonight. And Oakland overwhelming the Angels, hoping for help elsewhere in the American League.
And the Angels have actually played well against the A's this season. The Angels lead the season series. This ball that just gets foul. Again, you just keep running after the baseball in this ballpark. But if you look at it, the Angels lead the season series 8-7. And the shocking thing, when you look at the Oakland A's, they have a losing record in the AL West. Yeah. They are 34-35. They're a game under. The only team they have a winning record against is the Texas Rangers.
You think about the start the season got off to. Oakland was able to sneak one out early and then took one on the chin from the Halos.
Yeah, the Angels started the season here in Oakland, and they're going to finish the season with the A's the final week of the season, the last 3 games.
Shift is on and dialed in. And Lowry throws out Cole Calhoun halfway through in Oakland, and it's all Athletics. 12-1 is the lead. Now, the Athletics have a lot of good young players that have come up through the system and certainly helped Bob Melvin, but there's been some moves by the front office that have helped as well. They've bolstered the bullpen, certainly, and the starting rotation. Remember, the A's lost 4 of their 5 starters early. Juris Familia and Sean Kelly have been welcome additions to the pen. Fernando Rodney as well. And Mike Fiers from the Tigers jumped into the rotation along with a rejuvenated Edwin Jackson. Fiers, Trevor Cahill, Brett Anderson. That's the quartet right now that makes up this A's rotation. And joining us now, the pride of Nova Southeastern University, Deerfield Beach's own Mike Fiers. Hi, Mike. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you guys?
Good, good. Okay.
Sorry.
So we've been marveling at Edwin Jackson and the turnaround that he's had. You've jumped right into this clubhouse. You're 5-1 since joining Oakland on August 6th. What's it been like jumping in and joining this freight train that's barreling down the tracks?
It's just a great opportunity for me and a great opportunity for this team to really excel and get into the playoffs, and then, you know, just do what we do and see how far we can go.
Well, hey, Mike, this is Mark Langston. And, you know, when you come to this ball club, this is a team, you obviously jump right into a pennant race. What is the difference, the feeling-wise, when you take the mound, knowing every game that you're playing now is such a meaningful game?
I know it means a lot to this team, a lot into this franchise. But, you know, for me, I'm just trying to go out there and just try to be simple. Just take it as another game. I take every start every time I go out there, I take it as a big game for myself. So no matter what situation we're in, who we're playing, you know, I got to go out there and do my job, and that's throw strikes, get off the field as quick as possible, and let these guys swing the bat sooner than later. So, you know, these long innings, or, you know, giving teams extra base runners by walking guys and things of that sort, I just can't. I pride myself in, you know, not letting guys on so easy, you know, making them earn their way on. So just trying to shorten the innings and get through it quick. So, like I said, so these guys can get up and hit.
Hey, Mike, Dallas Braden here, buddy. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about the Oakland clubhouse, the Oakland atmosphere, the team chemistry. As somebody from the outside looking in, can you talk to us a little bit about maybe some of the things you had heard over the course of your career about maybe what to expect when arriving in Oakland, and then what you actually experienced once you show up here in the East Bay?
Well, I know playing against these guys, it was always a battle and a tough game. You know, getting through this lineup, there's no let up, and a lot of guys that just have a lot of power, know what to do at the plate, put together great at bats, put together, you know, like you saw the last inning. I mean, 2 outs and everything's dropping in, good at bats. Just kept putting on teams, and it's tough. And like I said, when I pitched against them, I mean, that's how I felt. I felt like I, you know, almost got lucky getting to this lineup 3 times. I mean, it was tough, man. It was a battle, but you know, these guys play with a lot of heart, a lot of hustle, a lot of pride, and, you know, a lot of these guys are young. They don't even know what they're doing, but it's pretty special. So it's pretty cool to see. And I guess to your other question, once I got here, I mean, it was just like I saw. I mean, from the other side. I mean, they play so hard every day. They show up to the field. They're ready to work, ready to get after it and compete. And you know, once we win the game, I feel like it's a little party back in the clubhouse. I mean, we really enjoy every win we get, and you know, we're just ready for the next day once it comes.
Mike Fiers is our guest. He's fashioned a outstanding year this year, combined with the Tigers and the Athletics. 29 starts, an ERA in the low 3s, and he's 12-7. Williams Jerez is on the mound. You've been through this, though. I mean, look, when you joined Houston in 2015, you jumped aboard a young team that was just coming together, that many people thought that you know, they might be going on to bigger and better things. So can you compare what Houston was like when they were on their way up to what you found here in Oakland?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, there's a lot of young guys there. Same with here. Mixed in with some veteran guys, and then they made some trades at the deadline to get me, and we also added Scott Kazmir at the time, and then. But I mean, it was just awesome to come into a team that's been playing well all year, and for me, I just want to, you know, contribute to that. Not try to do anything special or try to show them that I'm a different pitcher. They know the pitcher I am, and you know, that's why I'm here. So for me, it's just to go out there and compete, and you know, let the guys hit the ball and earn their way on, and let the defense work, because that's another thing about these guys. They play hard in the field, diving after everything, trying to make every throw. Laureano's throwing balls from left center all the way to first base. I mean, it's a joke, really. I mean, it's really an opportunity for me just to compete and play with this great team. It's really fun.
Now, as a starting pitcher, obviously, in your mind, you take that ball, you've got one objective, and that's to go 9. And as that starts to unfold and maybe doesn't work out quite that way, you know that you've got a bullpen to support you. How about the bullpen you've got down there right now? What does that mean to a starting pitcher, especially a guy in your position, knowing, you know what, I can put the pedal to the metal for 5, 6, 7 if I can find that 7th inning. If not, I've got a litany of arms I can rely on down there.
Oh yeah, it's a short game when it comes to starting pitcher here. But, you know, like you said, I mean, as a starting pitcher, as a competitor, you want to go as far and deep in the game as you can and help this team out as much as possible. But just knowing the arms we got down there, we got 4 or 5 closers down there. We got closers that can pitch 2 innings at a time.
Yeah.
Just fastballs with so much life and breaking balls that you just don't even know what to do with. So it's a treat, you know, to come out of the game and know you're hitting it to a guy that's pretty much an all-star, everyone down there. And, you know, it makes it easier for us to, like you said, we can just pedal to the metal, get everything we got out there and not worry about, you know, when you get tired. Because whenever your time's up, you got guys that'll come in and finish the job.
And there's an endless supply of them down there, Mike. We were just looking at
look at that.
The bullpen. There's 15 right-handers down there, 2 lefties, 17 total relievers. They have outnumbered the starters almost 3-fold now.
Yeah, we had to bring more seats down there. We had guys sitting on the ground. There's some guys in the dugout, guys in the clubhouse right now. There's we don't even know some of the guys' names. It's crazy. But everyone has great stuff and can really finish a ball game if we need it.
Yeah, you have been a welcome addition and a big part of the success here, especially over the last 2 months. Thanks for the visit, and good luck. I know Bob Melvin doesn't want to even talk about the postseason right now, but good luck in the postseason.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Mike Fiers, likable guy and a really good starting pitcher right now, having a terrific year. You know, Bob doesn't want to talk about the postseason, but we can, and the fans certainly have. Our fan group, the Oakland Athletic fan group, and you've got an Angels fan group as well. That's a strike. Lowry was thinking about going down to first. We asked them, wild card game, who's starting, and 89% have Mike Fiers starting that wild card game, which looks like it'll be against the Yankees. Edwin Jackson gets 8%. Our exit poll also indicating I think Brian Kenny is on Facebook today. 2% for the bullpen, and Brett Anderson getting 1% after his start, a good start last night. Lowry pulls the ball to third, kicked by Ward. He picks it up, fires across the diamond, and gets the out. So it's 12-1, Oakland on top. Mark Langston is in the social media chat lounge right now. It is catered, so Dallas, you got that waiting for you here.
Nice.
Next half inning.
Nice.
Mike Trout and the Angels taking it on the chin right now, and that's, as Mark said, if you're an Angels fan, one of the things you have to take, you're not going to the postseason, but you do get a chance to watch this guy play on a daily basis. MVP numbers, certainly. He's not, in the MVP universe, he's not there right now. Mookie Betts is I think the front runner right now. JD Martinez is right there. We threw Chris Davis's name in as well. But for Mike Trout, his ranks right now in the American League, slugging percentage, on base percentage, stolen base percentage. I think people don't realize that not only does he steal bases, he doesn't get caught. He's 24-26 right now.
Picking your spots, being efficient. We mentioned that with Ramon Laureano, 7-7. But for Mike Trout, a guy whose speed was such a huge part of his game early on when he got to the big leagues, right? Swiping 40-plus bags. And you saw that sort of taper off as he really started to develop into that perennial MVP candidate that he has become, that we've become so used to seeing.
Candidates? You said candidates? Here you go. And don't forget about Jose Ramirez with the Indians.
That's right.
Betts, Crush, JD Martinez, Ramirez, and Trout. It's almost, Trout's numbers are great. I think he's a victim of his previous success.
He's a victim of being too good still, Rich.
Right. I think everybody assumes, oh, yeah, that's an average season for Mike Trout. But an average season is an MVP-type season. And in the comments section, it's 12-1, so, hey, have at it. Do you think Mike Trout should be the American League MVP?
there will always be conversations about it. And it always leads me back to, how do you define the V? Invaluable.
Yeah, that's look, there's a lot of directions people go when voting on the MVP. Angels go to work. Jackson's got a huge lead. Mark Langston returning from the social media lounge where he's been chatting with, I'm sure, Angel fans and Athletic fans, and probably friends and family from around the globe whose messages you won't return, but they're able to narrow you down on the chatting. In the chatting cage, so to speak. What was on everybody's mind while you were there?
One of them was, who do you think will start the wild card game for the A's? And I said, I don't even know if Bob Melvin knows the answer to that right at the moment. There's just so many different options that are in play for the A's. Bob Melvin, obviously, we talked to him today, wouldn't really reveal that. He's not going to tip his hand. Certainly he said, hey, we're not in the postseason. We still have a path to get there. And so I don't even know if he knows right at the moment.
That ball was smoked, but Lowry is there. And Fernandez, who's swung the bat well all day long, has lined out.
Now this ball is squared up, but right at somebody. Jed Lowry snags it, pulls it down.
Well, before you returned, we did have a fan poll, and most fans feel that Fiers will get the baseball against probably the Yankees, whether it's at Yankee Stadium or here. He had 88% of the votes. What else was on everybody's mind on a day where Oakland has just scored at will?
There's some of the Angel needs for the 2019 season. We had that.
And what did you answer on it?
To me, it's pitching. It's all about the pitching side of it. I think the Angels need to add a rotation piece. I think there's certainly an opportunity to maybe get a couple of bullpen pieces. And there's a pitch that looked like goes right over the head of Mike Trout right here. So it's a pitching side. To me, the Angels, they lost a lot of depth. They're going to have a lot of guys that are going to be coming back from the Tommy John surgery that will not be available for the 2019 season.
Mike Trout, deep, gone, upper tank, MVP, or at least in the conversation.
Oh.
That ball's crushed.
This ball is crushed, and here's the deal. When you come up and in on somebody and you throw over somebody's head, you better execute the next pitch, because you have his full attention right here, and you cannot make a mistake. This is a breaking ball from Jackson that really is right over the heart of the plate, and Mike Trout hits this into the second deck here at the Coliseum. So you come up and in, and then the next pitch is right here. Mike Trout will make you pay, and he will hurt that baseball. Home run number 36 for Trout on the season.
Kind of a cement mixer of a breaking ball, and Trout just pounced on it.
You learn that when you come up and in on somebody, their next pitch better be well located, because they have a little extra adrenaline pumping.
Here's Ohtani now, and the count is 1 ball and 1 strike. So the Angels have their second run. It's a 12-2 game.
And for Mike Trout coming into this game here today, hitting .340 against the A's this year.
And Ohtani swings and misses. It's count of 1-2. If you joined us late and weren't around for early discussion, Mike Scioscia talking about if Ohtani does have the Tommy John surgery, and that's a high likelihood in early October, the Angels could have him as a DH back in mid to late May next year and get 2/3 of a season out of him as a DH. And the key there is for him, it's the right elbow, and it's the lead elbow in the swing, not as much stress as the back elbow.
Well, that's what they say. I don't know about that. When I went from Seattle to Montreal, I hit right-handed, threw left-handed, and I remember I swung right through a pitch, and my elbow was killing me, to the point to where I went, all right, I got to come up and I got to hit left-handed. I never switched hit in my life. So I ended up trying to get my bunts down from the left side. First guy I faced, Frank Bioli, throws me a breaking ball. I think it's going to hit me in the head. I curl up in a little ball at strike 3, and I went, forget it. I was switch hitting at that point. So there is stress there, because your front arm is the one that's going to get extended. and your back arm is the one that's not going to get fully extended on a swing. Doctors know better than me. I don't know. They say that will not stress the joint out or the elbow. Certainly the Angels are going to be extra cautious with Shohei. So it's not like they're going to go, okay, you know, hurry up, let's go. No way. They will take their time. If he ends up getting Tommy John surgery, which seems likely, they will not rush this situation. They know how valuable he is to this ball club, not only from a pitching standpoint, but certainly what you've been able to see this year offensively.
3-2 pitch. You know, Ohtani pulls it foul. The timelines, and these aren't finite and in concrete, but the timelines are for a pitcher after Tommy John. It's a year, you know, right around there. Some have come back a little earlier, some come back a little later, but they feel that for Ohtani, especially because he hits left-handed, it's the right elbow, that at least 6 months is the window after the surgery, and after 6 months, that's when he's probably available and able, with all the rehab, to come back and hit. And Ohtani walks here, and Bob Melvin, with 17 relievers to choose from, is going to choose one of them now. And Edwin Jackson is going to get a nice ovation, and he deserves it here. He's made so much to this ball club, and remember, he was in AAA, and the Nationals didn't have room for him, but Oakland sure did, and he's having one of the best years in his career at age 35.
Yeah, when you're a guy at 35, stuff is stuff. Stuff plays. He still has that. He still has the good velocity. He still has a good secondary pitches. He's a veteran. He knows what he's doing. And certainly the A's were in need of that. And that's what the A's went out and said, hey, let's give Edwin Jackson a try. And he's come in, and he's taken this and running with it.
Angels getting a home run from Mike Trout. We've gone through the MVP talk and crunched all of the numbers, but there's more to Trout than just the awards and what we see on the field. With Kevin Franzen talking about it. Kevin, there's a lot more to be heard about Trout.
I think we all know he's the best player in the game, but he might be one of the best people in the game. And, you know, he just made a little girl, 8-year-old Haley Dawson, her dream come true. And she is now thrown a first pitch at 30 Major League ballparks. And the last one was to Mike Trout. But MLB players all over the country have a congratulations towards Haley, and here it is.
Hi Haley, this is Michael Conforto from the Mets. I just wanted to send you a quick video saying congratulations. 30 ballparks, that's amazing. Congratulations on your last one, and throw a strike.
Congratulations on your amazing accomplishment, Haley.
Haley, congratulations.
It was an honor to meet you, and I'm really glad I got to catch your first pitch.
Congratulations, Haley. I just want to congratulate you on your summer. What a summer it's been.
Hey Haley, how you doing? I want to congratulate you on meeting your expectations of 30 ballparks. That is the coolest thing in the world.
Great job of getting through every single park.
We're all super proud of you, super pumped up.
Just want to congratulate you on being able to throw out the first pitch in all 30 stadiums.
You know, you're an inspiration to a lot of people with what you've been through, and I hope that you continue to do what you're doing.
We had a blast having you out at American Park.
Congratulations, Haley. We're looking forward to seeing what the future holds for you.
Hey Haley, it's Sam. Congratulations on throwing the pitch at each ballpark this season.
Congratulations on your accomplishment, throwing the first pitch at 30 ballparks. That's amazing.
Well, great stuff, Kevin. And look, Kevin, you played in the big leagues, and you're around the game as a broadcaster. You broadcast in a city where Mike Trout is from, in that Philly area. Special guy on the field, special guy off the field. There aren't. I mean, look, a lot of players do a lot of things off the field. When you're that good and you do it, that's a great combination.
And the best part is he does it when no cameras are around. He doesn't want that. It's a special thing, because if you do the things when it's unnoticed, that's when it says the most about you as your character. And Mike Trout, he's special. He is special, and he is loyal to his area, loyal to his causes. And, you know, for me, I look up to him, because if you're at that status, you don't have to do all that stuff, but he wants to.
Now there's another look back on September 16th when she threw out the pitch down in Anaheim. Now on that play, Josh Fegley's throw hit the runner, but the runner was inside the baseline. The umpires made that call quickly, and so the put out is going to go 1-3. Here's a look. Justin Upton, the runner.
This is like a swinging bunt right here, and Pagan gets it, and you look at Upton where he's at. He's got to be in that lane. That is what that lane is for, and Upton on the inside part of it. To me, it's the goofiest thing I've ever seen in my life. That lane right there is in foul territory. The bases, you can't get to first base. It's almost dangerous if you run in that lane going after that. So to me, that's got to be its change. Most guys, when they run down to first base, they come out of the box. They're already in towards fair territory. I don't like that at all. That lane, that rule right there, it's the pitcher's got to clear himself one way or the other. So that's almost protecting a guy that doesn't get to the spot.
Well, I think the rule is there to protect first baseman, because you can ask guys like a Cliff Floyd or first baseman that have had that serious injury with a throw into the runner. It keeps the runners over on that other side so that first baseman can make that catch. I don't know what the solution is, because I hear what you're saying. As a runner, you have to all of a sudden adjust and say, oh, I've got to run in foul territory. Simmons fouls it back.
You follow that line right down to the first base bag. The tip of the bag, the backside of the bag, is right on that foul line, and then the base moves into fair territory.
So what would you do? Would you, I mean, now in youth leagues they have that long base that stretches into foul territory. That's probably not going to happen here in the big leagues.
No, I mean, that's, to me, that would be your only option. Other than that is start teaching guys how to, on that swinging bunt, you keep your momentum going and you get an angle.
Emilio Pagan strikes out Andrelton Simmons. And a 12-2 Oakland lead. We are in Oakland, California, downtown Oakland. Lake Merritt, beautiful place. The Oakland Hills in the background. And a reminder that you can follow the race to the postseason on MLB.tv. $25.99 every out-of-market regular season game. Get a free subscription to MLB At Bat Premium. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv to take advantage of this limited time offer.
Well, just a little bit to follow up on Mike Trout. Again, get the chance to see Mike Trout work. As we heard Kevin Francis talking about that, what Mike Trout does off the field, a lot of people don't get the opportunity to see it. I see it on a daily basis, how he impacts lives and young lives. And it's stuff that these kids will never forget, that opportunity to. And he's one of the most humble guys you'll be around, and that's what he likes. He identifies with kids all the time, and to me, it's really heartwarming every time I see it. And again, I see it every day with Mike Trout. He spends time every day signing for people.
Trout is just a guy. I use a hashtag on social media, grow the game, and he's a guy who he doesn't care who's watching him do what he does. He doesn't care if there's a camera lit up or a mic in his face when he's making an impact, or he's doing what he thinks should be done, needs to be done, or what he wants to do for young fans of the game. And I absolutely love that. There's a lot of talk about why can't baseball put these guys on a pedestal? Why can't they market them better? And I have said it's a two-way street, but there's just guys like Mike Trout who aren't in it for that. They're not here for that. They're here to play the game. They appreciate what's been given to them. They appreciate what they mean in their community, and they don't need an award hanging on the wall to remind them that they're doing it the right way.
Yep, that is Mike Trout in a nutshell. He doesn't look for any of that. There's a lot of guys that are into this that will try to promote themselves and use their brand to really get some things across. But Mike Trout is the opposite of that. I always tell people, close your eyes, and what is your picture in your head of a superstar? Well, that picture should have Mike Trout's face to it, because he plays the game hard every day. He runs hard to first base. He never cheats anything. He spends time with the fans. And he is, to me, this is what a superstar is all about. It's fun to be around a guy like that.
From one MVP and MVP candidate to another one here. Chris Davis is up. Lots of changes in the Angels defense and on the mound. Miguel Almonte takes over for Williams Jerez. And Almonte is facing Oakland here. In the bottom of the 6th, Chris Davis has an RBI double. He takes a breaking ball outside. This is, look, we've had, and we'll probably have this discussion as it's 12-2 about expanded rosters, but for Mike Scioscia, it's a chance to pull the regulars off the field and get some guys some time in the outfield and the infield and on the mound.
Well, we saw the last night's game. It had a spring training feel to it. Both managers saw the opportunity to give some rest to some guys that are playing on a daily basis. And this is a one-sided game. The A's are leading this game 12-2. This is an opportunity for Mike Scioscia to kind of give some of those guys that are out there playing on a daily basis the rest.
Davis lofts that one down the left field line. Not deep enough to get out of here, but soft enough to nestle in there for another double. Well, a good day for Chris Davis. Angels have kept him in the yard.
Well, this ball not hit extremely well off the cap just a bit for KD. But outfield shading Chris Davis slightly to the opposite field. That allows this to drop in, and KD hustling out of the box, standing on second.
All you heard in today's game is soft contact, and there is some soft contact from Chris Davis, a guy that usually has that exit velocity and all the terms that are thrown around in the game of baseball. But that's the soft contact that you're going, wait a minute, here's my soft contact. I want an out of that, and he's standing on second base.
And that's the worst, isn't it, Langs, when you execute and you know I've just executed my pitch. That behemoth of a man did not hit it to Jupiter. I need an out. And when it doesn't happen, oh.
I think that gets to you more than the ball that's screaming into the seats. The one that you execute and you are expecting that out, and they're able to either find a hole or put a good at bat on you and do the opposite of what you have in your mind when you release that pitch and it goes exactly where you want. Sometimes you do have to tip your cap. Sometimes it is the game of baseball to where you can't figure it out. There's other times you throw that hanging breaking ball, and guess what? They pop it straight up.
They pop it up or they take it. They're just one pitch behind you in the sequence, and you're going, all right, all right.
Matt Olson up right now after the Davis double. As you can tell, Dallas Braden has returned from the social media lounge and the chat with the fans who are watching wherever you might be. Dallas, what topics did you get? What questions were your favorites?
Well, a good question, and it was something that that we all three had kicked around before the day started, and that was about the defense of Matt Chapman. Obviously, the Oakland A's fans are banging the keyboard at that time, so they're asking thoughts on Matt Chapman, Matt Olson. Are these guys Gold Glove caliber defenders? I think the answer is yes. Whether or not at the end of the season they will have the hardware to show that is another story. But I think it's just a lot of fans are just really excited about the idea that the Oakland A's could find themselves in a extended postseason experience. You know, wild card on deck. They're very excited about that.
I'm going to follow up on the Gold Glove scenario because Bob Melvin hit on it today, talking about Matt Olson. And when you have a really good first baseman, your infielders are automatically going to be elevated. We saw that earlier today. Andrelton Simmons gets an error on a really tough play that he throws, unable to get it. Jose Fernandez at first base. When you have a guy like Matt Olson at first base that's able to pick it, that is an infielder's dream because they know they just got to get it in the vicinity, and you'll do the work from that point on. So it is a big plus for the A's to have a guy like Matt Olson, a big guy, who is able to really pick the ball at first base.
Well, you get a good first baseman, and that's like putting perfume on a pig. It just makes it that much better. It makes it that much better.
I thought it was lipstick that you put on the pig, not perfume.
Yeah, you have a pig rolling around in the dirt, a couple of sprays. Psst, psst.
Maybe the combination of lipstick and then perfume. But I look.
Hey, you're only going to get so much out of a pig, by the way. You only got one or the other.
Yeah. High on the hog only means so much.
Full disclosure, I grew up in the East Bay, and I raised hogs as a kid.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
All right.
Don't take it easy on
the
pigs.
pigs.
There you go. Matt Olson walks, and so runners first and second. And here comes Stephen Piscotti. When we get to the next half inning, we'll have a slice, and I hope if you're a baseball fan, especially an Oakland Athletic fan, you had a chance to watch Tom Verducci's sit down with the Oakland Athletics president and general manager Billy Beane. And we will have a portion of that coming up when we get between the 6th and the 7th inning. Here in Oakland, Dallas Braden, Mark Langston, Kevin Franzen down below, trying to avoid the sun exposure, which has been bright and hot here in Oakland. I'm Rich Waltz. Fastball is up and in. And right now, the Angels are cycling through their bullpen. It was a Matt Shoemaker start. He didn't last long. 2 2/3, got knocked around. Jim Johnson gave up 6 unearned runs. Junichi Tazawa, Williams Jerez, and now Miguel Almonte. If you're scoring this ball game, God bless you. Here are the changes for the Angels defensively. E.Y. Jr. is in left. Michael Hermosillo is in center. Jabari Blash is in right. Sherman Johnson is now playing second base. And there'll probably be more changes on both sides for the Athletics and the Angels because they can, really. That pitch is in. September baseball means expanded rosters, and these rosters are not only expanded, they've blown up. I mean, at the very limit, Oakland's got 38 players in uniform, 17 relievers. The Angels have 37 players available and 15 relievers.
Yeah, I believe the September scorecards actually come with elastic on them.
And Almonte has walked the bases loaded. Piscotti, who's driven in 4 with a 3-run homer and an RBI single, is aboard. And that's going to bring up Ramon Laureano. We were talking about managers about expanded rosters. There's Mike Scioscia on the phone. I like the idea that Mike Scioscia, because everyone's trying to figure out, okay, if you want to limit the number of players in September and not get into this endless parade of relievers and guys, how do you do it? Scioscia's idea is this: when you get to August 31st, you have to lock down your 25-man roster. That's the roster that if you're headed to the postseason, that's the roster that you take. So you got a 25-man roster. They have to be on the lineup card for every game in September. And then you can bring up as many more who are on the 40-man roster as you want, another 15 if you want. But before every game, you can only put 5 of those guys on your lineup card and go to battle with 30. You can't change the 25. That means the starters are on that 25-man as well. What do you guys think of that?
I loved it. I absolutely love it, because you get to September and all of a sudden the rules change. And these are the most important games that you're going to play all season long. You're fighting for postseason berth. And all of a sudden, it's a completely different set of rules here. You have more weapons at your usage, and we talked to Bob Melvin about that, and he said, hey, these are the rules, we're using them, and we're going to take advantage of that.
So Scioscia's plan allows you to, oh, there we go. And then this is, look, our crew, our MLB Network crew has been working hard on this, and there they are. Young, Hermosillo, Blash, Johnson. I mean, this is, we've got, what, 70, almost 78 players in this game. And that ball from Laureano is foul. So Scioscia's plan essentially says, yeah, look, you can benefit from having good young players in your system. Bring them up. You can put 5 of them into each game, and that's you can use that as your advantage. But none of this 15 relievers, 15 right-handers in a bullpen like Oakland has, and 17 relievers overall. Dallas, you weigh in now.
Yeah, you know, I'm from a little different thought process. I think I am not opposed to bringing the entire 40-man roster up here and having each and every one of them available. I feel like over the course of a season,
Laureano into left field. That's a base hit. It'll score Davis. Olson will be held by Matt Williams. That's proper baseball protocol here, and it's 13-2 Oakland.
I feel like over the course of a season, you figure out who you can identify as contributors. You have some injuries, you have some things occur, and you have folks that come up and they identify themselves. They present you with options. Well, I don't feel like organizations should be punished for having done their due diligence over the course of, let's say, a 2, 3, 4-year window, where their farmhands, their products, they have done a good job of cultivating talent, and September is sort of like that pat on the back the front office gets or the instructors get. Here, take a look at all of the hard work that we have done. These are guys that we feel can serve our big league team now and in the future, and it's not just about getting them 3 outs at the big leagues to fill out the back of a baseball card. It's about identifying guys that you feel can compete.
That's a rocket. Marcus Semion's having a day, and Oakland's going to get 3 more runs. This clears the bases. Olsen, Piscotty, and Laureano all score. Semien now has 5 RBIs and 3 hits. And the A's have added a field goal here and lead it 16-2.
I think this is one of those days Mike Scioscia is glad there is an expanded roster to where one of his position players would have to eat up some innings here today. So tough day for the Halos. There's no doubt about it. You look at the scoreboard, Angels just 2 runs, 3 hits, all A's, and it happened in that 3rd inning. The Angels really just took control of this game and never looked back. And this is an old-fashioned blowout right here.
Miguel Almonte will exit the ball game. And the Angels dip a little deeper into their bullpen.
I like what Mike Scioscia said today, and that's, you know, that's coming from a guy who has the ability to have an expanded roster and utilize that to his best. And it's not that because the Angels are out of it and it doesn't mean anything. And Bob Melvin even, you know, talked about it, said, hey, in his personal taste, maybe that's not what he would like, but that's the rules that are presented to him. And I like the standpoint of your 25-man roster. You've got to lock them in anyway in August 31st to see you're either eligible on that day, and then the next day, September 1st, if you're not on that roster August 31st, you're not allowed in postseason anyway, unless you're coming back from an injury.
Well, Oakland is, look, they've scored a ton of runs here, but you add up the damage they've done against the Angels in this series. They scored 10 yesterday, 10-0. They had 7 in a loss on Tuesday. So 33 runs for Oakland here in 2.5 games in this series.
It doesn't help your confidence a lot.
No, and this is going to be win number 92 for the Athletics. And obviously puts some pressure on the Yankees tonight to keep beating the Red Sox. Keep some pressure on Houston to try to finish things off. And it gives Tampa Bay a little less leeway. It would reduce the magic number here down to 5.
Well, that's key for the Oakland A's, is for a long time they were trying to keep the Seattle Mariners at bay, keep them in the rearview mirror. Well, Seattle is now out of the picture, but the Tampa Bay Rays, they've caught a ride on a current out there in Florida, and they are coming.
We were talking earlier about scoreboard watching, and this is scoreboard watching 101.
That is going to get to center field off the end of the bat. Fegley drives in another one. So the A's keep scoring. We promised a few slices of that great interview, Tom Verducci and Billy Beane. Let's jump into that right now. Here's Billy Beane and Tom Verducci talking about this 2018 Athletics team.
We have a really interesting perspective on sort of year-by-year architecture of a team, where people nowadays talk a lot about tanking. We're essentially giving up a year, maybe multiple years, to contend. You don't believe, at least in that word or that process. Explain to me your idea about how you can look at the season in a chunk, especially the first half of a season, and take it from there.
Listen, and you talk about a season, the first month, you know, everyone's kind of shadow boxing, trying to figure out what you have. You want to get through healthy. And then if you really get to the deadline, it's going to be 7 to 10 teams that are just going to fold cards. And there's a lot of wins there. So if you're somewhere around 500 and decide you're going to stay in the game, maybe make an acquisition or two, you can quickly go from a 500 team to a team that might be 15 games over 500 just by virtue of playing against teams that have said we're out. For us, the narrative that I've never really agreed with when it comes to us, or maybe me personally, is that, all they do is trade away their players. That's actually not true. When we're in it, we trade 4 players. And when we're out of it, We do trade. I mean, that's just our existence and how we're not going to be stagnant. We're going to do something proactively one way or the other. And, you know, and I think this year and past years, whenever we have a chance to make the playoffs, in our opinion, we will aggressively pursue players. And if we don't, well, then we're going to try and find a combination that works. We're not really a club that's organic. We're a transaction-based team. Certainly our corner guys are drafted in development, but the rest of the team are all transactions. And we figure with enough of those transactions over really a very short period of time, you can actually put together a team pretty quickly, quicker than maybe people think.
Well, I think we talked about sustained success and trying to keep the core together. I believe it's one of the great writers in the Bay Area, Ray Ratto, who said nobody ever bought a ticket to watch Billy Beane make a trade. That being said, now that you've got a team that's on the way up, if you can make those trades to supplement the Matts, the Chapman, the Olsons, the Chris Davises, then you really got something. That allows the fan base to really buy in and come back. Because, look, when Tony La Russa was here and this team was winning and got to 3 World Series, they were drawing over 3 million fans. 3 million fans came out to see the Oakland Athletics and that '89 World Championship and that run of 3 World Series.
And you want to know what this Coliseum was at that time? A revelation. Multi-purpose facility. Oh my God. That's what that represented at that time. Well, today we're dealing with a little bit of different scenario. And what I'm getting at is, you talk about acquiring individuals to supplement the young talent. You have to understand the battle that the Oakland A's face when trying to acquire said talent, because you got to have a home for these individuals. And when all-stars and impact players are house shopping, a lot of the times places where sewage finds its way up through the dugout, those can be deal breakers for guys. So what I'm getting at is the stadium, as much as you don't want to pay attention to it, as much as you want to let that stuff kind of work itself out, you have to identify that as a very, very real and a massive hurdle in acquiring talent and keeping talent here in green and gold.
Well, the A's just keep scoring. It's 17-2. And Chad Pinder's getting at bat here, and he fouls one off.
Well, all you can do is look across the bay. You look at the San Francisco Giants. They played a Candlestick forever. That was one of the more miserable places to go to a game. I grew up here in the Bay Area. I've been coming to this ballpark ever since I was a little kid. I'd go to Candlestick, and you could be the guy in a day game like this, sitting in the sun, you're baking, the guy sitting in the shade right behind you, full parka going on.
Yep.
So definitely, I think the Giants proved over there, they built the ballpark, and one of the most beautiful ballparks in all of baseball, and that place is still packed. Obviously, they had a team or teams that were really successful that helped pack that place, and the fans here are just looking for a different opportunity to come watch A's baseball. You build that state-of-the-art stadium, which you continue to hear it's going to happen. You might be shocked at how these fans all of a sudden want to come and be part of that.
Well, it just takes me back to the great Field of Dreams line. If you build it, they will come.
Especially if when you build it, there's a Chapman at third and an Olsen at first and a Davis in the outfield.
Yep. And
that jersey that you bought 2 or 3 years ago is still relevant.
Dallas, you talked about it earlier, the fans, and they aren't big crowds here at all, but I think they're the most passionate fans in all of baseball. You go to Yankee Stadium, you hear those fans, and there's 45,000 of those passionate fans. There's only 16,000, sometimes 10,000 here, but they are vocal, they are loud, and that 10,000 base sounds like it's 35,000, 40,000 some nights.
Not great in number right now, but great in heart and great in spirit. And as you pointed out, Dallas, just getting a postseason game here would be really special. Now, look, a lot has to happen. They have to catch the Yankees to get the wild card game. If they don't, they have to beat the Yankees in that wild card game to get the division series here.
I have no doubt.
There's a roller towards short and a long inning. Finally gets an out here. Wait a minute. A throw to first. That's going to be a double play. Now, hold on. The hitter did not run down to first base. And I'm not sure if he was hurt or if he thought it was a foul. But it was Franklin Barreto. Let's watch Barreto. Did he slip? Oh, there he is.
Stumbles completely out of the box.
I did not see that because I was watching the ball trickle around with the shortstop, but Barreto flat out face planted.
Well, that's defeat trying to go a little quicker than the upper body, and down he goes. And certainly by the time he got up, he realized he thought that double play was going to get turned. He looked up, and there's still Caleb Coward had a little bit of a hiccup there. There's not much you could do with that.
No. Well, the A's go deeper into their bench, and Bo Taylor gets the at-bat.
Back to the scoreboard watching. This is what players do in September. Teams that are in it, they just stare at that scoreboard. And anybody says, oh, no, I don't look at that scoreboard, they are lying.
Yep.
Because you scoreboard watch. So you got the Yankees that are taking BP right now. They see the score, and they're going, uh-oh, we got to play good tonight. You got Tampa Bay, who's playing Toronto tonight. They are seeing this as they're taking BP, and they're going, uh-oh, we got to play good tonight. This is the difference of, this is the only day game here today in baseball. The A's get to make the statement early, and it's vice versa too. When the A's are on the West Coast, they get to watch the scoreboard and see what the Yankees are doing, see what Tampa Bay is doing. So it is scoreboard watching at its finest.
Now, look, here's the weird thing about the A's. This is who the Rays have left. That 4-gamer against the Yankees. Oakland fans are hoping, hey, that Tampa loses and the Yankees lose. Well, they're going to play each other. And at that point, if you're an Oakland fan, you hope that the magic number to clinch the wild card is down and you're closer to the Yankees, and then you're a big Rays fan, right? And here's the Yankees' remaining schedule. The Yankees have the Red Sox again tonight. Orioles, there's the Rays. And they actually have, including tonight, 11 games, whereas Oakland will have 9 games left.
Yeah, and Oakland squaring off against the Halos right now. The Yankees against the Red Sox, and those two teams, or excuse me, those 4 teams will finish with each other at the end of the year. So right now for the Oakland A's, you want to continue to play this type of baseball against the Angels, knowing that you're going to see this team very soon, kind of giving you an idea. This is what we have to do to take care of business. And on the flip side of that, same thing for the Yankees.
Olsen crunches one, upper reaches, where Mark Langston used to sit as a child.
A little higher up when I was a kid.
Coming to see the Athletics here. There's your American League West. Now the Astros have a 4-game lead. Oakland will make it 3.5 when this thing ends, if it does end. And the Athletics are 2.5 back of the Yankees for home field advantage in the 1-game wild card, which is treated as a series. And that's a nuance too that favors, you know, Bob Melvin told us at the beginning of the day, analytical teams like expanded rosters. Well, that's treated as a series, that wild card game. You can change your roster for the wild card game to the division series, from the division series to the LCS.
Right. Still make adjustments along the way.
That is popped up. Arcia and Ward, and Arcia can't get it. And we've talked about the sun all day.
Oh, yeah. This is...
Arcia just got a good look at it. But this is tough to watch right now, I'm sure, for Mike Scioscia and his staff.
No, this is one of those games that Mike Scioscia's line after the game will be turn the page. You know, this is one of these games where it just hasn't gone the Angels' way. And certainly there's been plays that kind of maybe haven't been made, but this one right here, this is tough. This field is, I think, the toughest field. In fact, I always ask Mike Scioscia, why is the sun brighter in Oakland than anywhere else? He said, I know, it feels like there's 3 different suns that are involved here. When you go up looking for a fly ball, it just seems brighter here than anywhere else. And it's just anything that looks routine is the farthest thing from it. We saw it earlier with Mike Trout. And I guarantee you, when he looked up in the sun, you look up and all you see is the sphere.
Well, that's it. And again, there's no cloud cover in the sky, and that allows a defender to engage depth perception. You talk about the difference between AAA and the big leagues, and you can say velocity in that third deck, and that third deck can typically give you an opportunity to gauge depth perception. But here, very, very difficult. Again, nothing in the sky to help you out.
There's the warming sphere.
It is fouled back as Olsen had protracted at bat here. Deck McGuire is reliever number 5 for the Angels after 2 2/3 innings of Matt Shoemaker. At the corners, Olsen takes down low and he walks. Kevin Franzen, you grew up here. You and Mark Langston were both San Jose State Spartans. You played in this ballpark. Why is the sun so difficult? Why is this ballpark so difficult in a day game?
Well, the sun is amazing if you're on the second base, first base side, right field during these games. That one right here, it's the wind that's involved. It might be so slight, but if you look out at the flags, they're blowing out. And these guys with so much space, you guys talked about it earlier, they keep on running, and you almost overrun it every time. And that one, you can just see it. It hits a wall up here and goes back. That, I mean, for me, looking at those guys and where the ball was, it wasn't the sun. It was the fact that the ball went up and came back down.
Kevin, when you came here as a kid to watch games, where would you sit?
Dude, we would be all over down the third base line over here. It was sweet. This place used to be unbelievable to come to before the Mount Davis, the monstrosity.
No doubt. I agree with you totally. Nice to come back in the, I don't even know if I should go there, but with the A's were winning world championships, there are 3 straight world championships. I was coming to games back then, and this place was really a fun atmosphere. The team that they had from growing up as a kid, there was 2 guys that really impacted my mechanics, and it was the other side, Juan Marichal with the San Francisco Giants, and Vida Blue here with the A's. And I got pictures from my college days. Kevin Franzen and I were at San Jose State. I literally mimicked Vida Blue. I had the big high leg kick, my hands went down. I try to mimic those 2 guys. And growing up in this area, there were so many talented players to watch. Obviously, the A's, with all the players that they had, the Giants with Willie Mays and Willie McCovey, and the history that's involved there.
Dustin Fowler strikes out. Well, you talked about those great teams in the 70s. Of course, the Tony La Russa era here produced 3 consecutive World Series and a World Championship. Bob Melvin would love to get this franchise headed in that direction as well. This week, back at our MLB Network studios, Brian Kenny had a chance to sit down with Tony La Russa, talk about comparing this version of the Athletics with his Bash brothers.
Tony, is there a comparison that you can make between these Oakland A's and the A's that you managed, the powerhouse A's in the early 90s?
The one comparison you can't make is that they don't have the fame. We had a really kind of glamorous team with a lot of credentials. This team is just earning the attention, but I tell you what's comparable. We saw it in Fenway Park about the time they started their run. They played with a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm, very competitive at bats. The starting pitching, it's a challenge for them. But when they go to that bullpen, they are very difficult to score on. So we were really impressed with how competitive they could be, and were.
You had huge sluggers, of course. What about Chris Davis? What are your thoughts on Davis?
Chris Davis has a really good approach where he lets the ball travel, and he really contacts it, and he's got almost the kind of stroke that JD has, and some of these guys that hit for a little higher average. But he's very powerful. Nothing scares him. He's a real threat. And they have some young hitters that go up there to make things happen. As I said, they're very dangerous and difficult club to play against.
Your thoughts on Bob Melvin, the job he does there?
Unsung, does not get, he and the staff, but Bob in particular. There's nobody in baseball. There's some really good managers working today. There's nobody better than Bob Melvin. And maybe it's because the West Coast, you just don't hear enough about the success they had. But year in and year out, Bob gets so much out of that club that he will not, the A's will not get beat because the manager and the coaching staff are not as good as the other side.
That's great stuff. Tony La Russa still in the game, now working for the Boston Red Sox in their front office. Bob Melvin trying to go just like the Mark Langston's early 70s Athletics, the team of the 70s in Major League Baseball.
Well, I played against those teams here in the 80s and 90s, and when Tony La Russa was managing here with the A's, and they were really good teams here. And talked about McGuire and Canseco, the problems that they really give you when you're the guy that's on the mound. And certainly you know that there's places and spots you could go to, but when you miss those places or spots.
Backing up bases.
Oh, no, they just handed you a new ball with those two guys. Ricky Henderson, when he was here, talked about Ricky working with the A's. Again, if you're a young base runner or a young guy with speed, even if you're not, you will just, if you just sit around a guy like Ricky Henderson, you're going to become a better baseball player.
Arcia lifts this one in the air. The A's have made some changes, including the mound, as J.B. Wendelken is in right now. And here is the defense. Please note the changes in right. Dustin Fowler. Franklin Barreto is now at second. Chad Pinder is at third base, and Wendelken is on the mound. If you are just logging on, let's hope you've got good bandwidth. That's important. If you're wondering how the Athletics doing, that score is accurate. It's 18-2, Oakland on top of the Angels. After losing the first game of the series 9-7, Oakland with a 10-0 win last night. And so they've scored, what, 28 runs in less than 24 hours.
Rolling. Lingers, I want to get back to something and ask you. You mentioned Ricky Henderson, and we talked about having the opportunity to work with guys like that as a young player and what that can mean. I remember spring training, I think it was 2010. 2009 might have been 2010. Ricky Henderson coming out, and I'm working on my pickoff move, snap pick, and Ricky comes out and he just walks right on to the base path, as he should be allowed to anywhere.
Right.
And he says, all right, let's go. And I'm thinking, what do we okay, he's getting a lead. Ricky Henderson is getting a lead right now. Okay, Ricky Henderson is asking me to try to pick him off right now. And it went from a aha moment, like, oh wow, this is really incredible, to all right, I have the opportunity to work on something, to I threw 2 over and then walked over there and immediately started just hammering him with questions.
Sure.
What are you looking at right now? What are you seeing? Is there a cue that you're looking at? When my hands are up, what are you looking at? When I come set, what are you looking at? And
did he answer you in the third person?
Oh, you better believe it.
Ricky saw
Ricky
this.
only knows one speed.
That's right.
Ricky only knows one way to go about the business. But after a half hour, Langers, I realized I just spent a half hour with the greatest leadoff hitter in the history of baseball, the greatest base stealer in the history of baseball. Is this really my life right now? Is this real? So it's
that you got valuable information about your move, what you do, what does he look for as a base stealer. That stuff is you can't really teach that, because that's shortening your learning curve when you have the ability to talk to not only, you know, a Hall of Famer, but as you said, probably the best leadoff hitter in the game, obviously the best base stealer ever to play the game. When I played with the Angels, I didn't sit next to pitchers. I sat next to Rod Carew every night. And I would sit there with Rod, one of the greatest hitters in the game of baseball, and would watch and talk with him. I'd listen to his information back to our hitters, and then I would sit there and go, what do you see in this hitter here? And he would talk about, watch that front hit. His front hit opens quickly. He's vulnerable to the ball on the outer half of the plate. I learned so much. I'm going to learn way more talking to hitters than I am from pitchers.
So, nice inning there by Wendelken. Speaking of pitchers and hitters, we had the Shohei Ohtani Rookie of the Year discussion, and he certainly is unique. It doesn't have a full season at either, but he's done both really, really well. The Rookie of the Year candidates, the two Yankees certainly are in there, Torres and Andujar. Luke Trevino's had an outstanding year for the Oakland Athletics. Earlier this year, when Shohei Ohtani was back in New York, he stopped by MLB Network, and he joined MLB Network for his first, or one of the first, really national interviews. Here's a listen to that. Some really good stuff.
トレーニングがある日はトレーニングをして、キャッチボールを
普通にやってその後にバッティングがあるという感じなので、僕にとってはそれがもう普通の感じになっているかなとは思ってます。すごいやっぱりレベルが高いなっていうのは日々感じていましたし、そういうところでは自信が少しなくなっている部分っていうのはあったんじゃないかなとは思うんですけど、GM のビリー・エプラを話して、自分の才能だけは失わないようにというか、そういう自信だけは持っていってほしいって言われたので、そういう言葉もそうですし、コーチング、バッティングスタッフの方々もそうですし、そういう技術の面でも、すごくいろいろ教わったことが多かったかなと思います。
All right. Look, you've been around him. You've watched him. It's fascinating to listen to him. That was really, really good stuff.
He's a freak. He literally is a freak because we've talked about it in the past about doing one element here at the major league level is crazy hard. The preparation that's involved, there's so many different things that are involved to get ready to either be a pitcher or a hitter. Now you all of a sudden you got to take that hitter's hat off and become a pitcher and do all the scouting report.
Now, even with expanded rosters, not to interrupt the Ohtani train here, we have a position player pitching. Arcia, the catcher, is lobbing him up there.
Yeah, well, this is the second time that Arcia has been out there this season, and
that's into shallow center. Matt Joyce, the hitter, and there's a catch made, a collision as well, but everybody's up and okay. Hermosillo in center field is back on his feet, and that's good news.
So, Langers, correct me if I'm wrong. Is this so the second time that Arcia has been out there? Is this now only the second time in Scioscia's entire tenure that a position player has pitched for the Anaheim Angels?
You are correct with that. Mike Scioscia has always been, he's never done it until this season. In a blowout game, he had Arcia go in there and go ahead and work an inning. And these are things in games like this. This is a complete crushing blow here by the A's.
I was interested to hear what complete.
I didn't know which way to go with that. I was struggling. You're right. I was searching for words right there to figure out what this is. What a great diving catch by Michael Hermosillo right there, who took over from Mike Trout out in center field. A nice drive there. He got a great jump on this ball.
Arcia's got late life on his fastball right now. This is a terrific catch.
But what happens in games like this when you have a guy, a position player that plays, it kind of eases the tension. You know, it's like this guy's out there, and guys can have fun with it. They'll give him, you know, they'll rib him when he gets into the dugout if he does bad, or they'll really be involved in really stroking him to say what a great job, you know, that you've done out there.
Kevin Franzen, this is as a hitter, this is not that comfortable in at bat. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on here from guys in the dugout, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You're facing Dallas Braden basically up there at 84 miles an hour. Oh, I had to. I had to. Oh, this one's right at me.
Make a play.
Yeah, no, that's over the fence. And it's tough to stay locked in too, because as a hitter, you know that you should crush this guy, but that always plays against it. You get big, you do all that. So like what Marcus Semien does and going to right center, you're going, that's amazing. You know, to stay locked in, do all that stuff. But look, I warmed up 3 times in my big league career, never went in to pitch. That was a dream of mine. These guys are doing it 3 or 4 times a year now.
Yeah.
This looks like the Coors Light Silver Bullet traveling softball guys in terms of velocity to the plate. That's not a thing of beauty, but Josh Fegley's got 3 hits today. Sends it into center field. That brings up Martini.
Well, they had that slider at 58 miles an hour right there from Arcia, and he actually, Fegley, hit it just like he threw it. That probably the exit velocity on that was probably 58 miles an hour.
Yeah, he hit a 58-mile-an-hour slider with a wet newspaper.
So, look, this is kind of fun to watch, and it breaks it up for us as well. But the Angels have 15 relievers right now. Now, if you're Mike Scioscia, he's had to use a lot of those relievers in this series. To right, and that's deep. Jabari Blash is back, and it's gone. And That is the first career home run for Nick Martini.
Nick Martini, a.k.a. the Dirty Martini. Taking advantage of an interesting situation here in the ball game.
How about this? Now, he can say that he hit it off Ohtani. It was actually Arcia, but who's going to know in 30 years?
That's right. And you know what, for him, too, that ball ricocheted back into the playing field. So not only did he hit his first home run, he's going to get that ball back.
That's right.
That is always a big memento for a player to be able to get that baseball.
Yeah, he's not going to have to part ways with a jersey or a bat or anything like that.
Hey, fellas, Mitch Walding from the Phillies the other day, he was 0 for 14. He got his first big league hit was a homer against a position player.
We'll take that.
Would you not take that, Kevin Francis?
That one is drilled too. I think that one's
without my shirt on.
And that's gone. And Chad Pinder has homered. It is like the Men of Steel, that softball exhibition. As Oakland launches a couple out of there, the Angels catcher, Francisco Arcia, pitching here in the bottom of the seventh.
And for the fans that are still here, they're enjoying every second of this. And again, this isn't easy to do. This is, we talk about below the hitting speed, and below the hitting speed, you know, it's 80 miles an hour, 84 miles an hour or so. This is as below the hitting speed as you could possibly get. It's very difficult to just go up there, as Kevin was talking about.
And that's the center field. That's deep, and it's caught there by Hermosillo as he turns away Franklin Barreto's bid for extra bases. So Arcia's ERA takes a hit. Martini has his first major league homer. The Raiders lead the Rams here 21-3 now. This is Martini.
Well, he does a nice job of staying back on this baseball. He lets it travel.
He back-footed it.
Well, he got the bat head up, an elevated fastball. Yeah, and Nick Martini, here's the deal. How his approach is always the other direction. He's a guy that likes to go the other way. So if your thought process is, okay, I'm going to go the other way, and you get somebody that's not throwing hard, now that other way becomes right in your wheelhouse, and you can turn and burn on stuff.
I don't know what the equivalent would be for a pitcher having maybe having the opportunity to just go up there and pinch hit.
Yeah, there's the historic Fox Theater here in Oakland. The Athletics finish up the homestand. The Twins are coming in. You can come out and see this, maybe the most exciting team in all of baseball. And if you haven't had a chance and you live in the Bay Area, get out here and see them, especially if they get to the postseason and get to host a game here. Athletics.com for tickets for the weekend against the Minnesota Twins. The Angels return home for their final homestand of the season. They'll get the Rangers, and Oakland will pay a visit as well. It's your last chance this year to see Trout, Ohtani, Upton. You can get your tickets at angels.com. So 21 runs on 21 hits and no errors for Oakland. The Angels 2 runs, 3 hits, and an error. And multiple substitutions at this point. Now, we said God bless you if you're keeping score. And this fan has, and actually kept it a lot neater than my book. For sure.
I'm done. My scorecard is done. My scorecard last inning was the 6th. I have stopped. I don't have enough ink in the pens to continue my path there.
Printer low.
Yeah, this has just been one of those tough days. And for the A's, this is what they were trying to do. For the Angels, Angels are in spoiler mode. They want to disrupt the path of the Oakland A's. This is their opportunity. And the Angels go right from this game. They on their way to Houston. They have a 3-game series with the Astros coming up, and can still play a part in what's going on here. And it's the way the Angels have been. It seems they just finished with Seattle before they came here. And after the Mariners series, the Mariners are your best friends. They want you to go up and beat up the Oakland A's. And when we leave here today, I'm sure the A's are going, go get them, go get the Astros. So
you may see me wearing a Mike Trout jersey on the way out of this stadium.
That's into center field. It's over Dustin Fowler's head, and it's off the wall. And Hermosillo has a base hit for the Angels as he leads it off with a double here in the 8th. So the Athletics are essentially outscoring the Raiders offensively.
Yeah.
Won't make John Gruden all that happy, but
yeah, he's still looking for a pass rusher, I believe. He'll keep looking.
Well, for John Gruden, all he has to go is say, wait, that field, there's offense that's going to happen in this field.
It's street legal to score here.
It's exactly right.
So the Raiders have gone for, what, 32 points in their 2 games. Now, okay, so you say, oh, well, look, the Athletics haven't outscored them today. But you go back to yesterday, the Athletics had 10 runs, so they're just a run away from matching the Raiders.
No QB controversy here.
It's too bad that when the Raiders leave and go to Las Vegas, that they can't put a hitch onto Mount Davis out there and take that with them.
There are a lot of folks around here that would not mind that. The backdrop that used to be so gorgeous and beautiful, the Oakland Hills behind Mount Davis.
Well, I grew up playing in the Kingdome, and when they blew that up, I wanted to be the guy push the button with the Kingdome blowing up.
That's a check swing and a strikeout. He went around. Kevin Franzen, you've got thoughts on that?
Yeah.
What do you got?
Well, you guys cut out on me a little bit, but the Mount Davis I heard.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering why Dallas hasn't done a game from up there. He wouldn't be bothered.
I've actually been up there, and I got to tell you, standing right at the very top in between those 2 pillars, dead center.
Yeah.
There's a sense of vertigo that grabs a hold of you. You start to feel the stiff breeze up there, because I'll tell you right now, it's about 30-35 mile an hour wind up there. Not feeling great.
It's a core exercise.
It's not fun.
The big question for me is, though, like, are you watching, when you watch a game from up there, is it like watching ants?
Well, look, there's 4 of us that grew up in this area, right?
Yep.
So, and we grew up watching great Raider teams here. And great athletic teams.
No, great Niner teams, that's it.
Great 49er teams and Giant teams. I went to all 4. So, but, I mean, they put this in here to keep the Raiders here. And the ridiculous thing is the Raiders have the top tarped over as well.
Yes.
Right? They don't put fans up there.
No.
So maybe they will drag it to Las Vegas with them. See, now you missed that. The mic cut out when I suggested they just hitch it to the moving vans and pull that down I-5 and down to Las Vegas.
Oh, that would be amazing. Because like Dallas said, Mark said it too, this used to be an unbelievable stadium to come to. Where they had dot races. You kidding me? Like right in the back, and then you take Bart into here. It was awesome. But going with those teams, I mean, for myself growing up in the Bay, my brother was all about the Giants. I was all about the Giants. But when it came to strikeout, I couldn't be the Giants. So it was the A's. So I knew every single one of the guys, batting stances. I had Ricky Henderson's batting gloves because that was the coolest thing in the world to have. Which, Dallas, I hope you asked him for a pair. Remember the fluorescent ones with the pad?
The fluorescent greens with the pads. Yeah, in all honesty, the great clubhouse manager for the Oakland A's, who's been here since they showed up, Steve Vucinich, he's got a few of those floating around in there.
Dude, I might go in there and ask afterwards. I have to. Yeah. Those are the greatest things ever.
Nope. And that's, to me, that's a missing art in the game of baseball, is the stolen base. It's gone.
I thought you were about to say fluorescent batting gloves.
No, those are around.
Yeah, those are still around. But certainly the stolen base, it's disappearing. And guys like Ricky Henderson, I don't think that, again, the sabermetrics people understand when you're the guy that's on the mound and you have a guy that with speed, they draw your attention. And sometimes they draw your attention so much that you lose your focus on delivering the ball to home plate. Speed, it can mess with your mind. And those guys that can run really took up some space in your head trying to pay attention to them.
Now, we've talked about 2 distinct eras, in actually 3 with this era of Oakland athletics, the 70s and then the La Russas. But early, right after the La Russa A's, there was the big three, and they certainly had a great run here in Oakland.
They could all be #1 starters on any given day.
And they are getting into it. They know how well he is pitching on opening night.
Here's the 2-2 pitch, a swing and a miss. He struck him out. And Mark Mulder has another 1-2-3 inning.
1-2 pitch. Another Z around the Coliseum as Barry strikes out 2. Strike 3 called. He gets Durham. 1-2 pitch. And he strikes him out. It's in Hudson. Gobbles him up to start the third. Right down the chute. This will be pitch number 115. Struck him out. Just a tremendous outing for Mark. 3-2 pitch coming to Bordick with 2 outs. They're going to go away, and he strikes him out.
A lot of times it looks like a fastball coming out of his hand. All of a sudden it disappeared.
The big three, they set the tone for us.
Also, we had a favor, too. We had pitching. So when you got pitching, you got a chance. Those guys was going to give us a chance to win every time they took the mound. That made it a lot easier.
Fellas, 2000 to 2004 was a special time here in Oakland, and they had the big three. Mulder, Zito, Hudson, and they're going to be doing this bobblehead at a next homestand coming up. So pretty good deal. I mean, they changed the way people thought about a big three and wanting, you know, guys to be successful. I would say Mulder, Zito, Hudson had a pretty, darn good career.
Without question. As Bo Taylor sends one foul. They were dynamite. And look, Moneyball was a great book. Moneyball was a great movie. Moneyball did not really feature the big three, which was pretty much the engine that drove those Athletics in that great era. That one is caught on the run by Hermosillo, and Taylor is out #1 here in the 8th.
Well, they were the gold standard. They were the measuring stick, the barometer, however you want to phrase it. And especially for myself, being a young lefty, you've got Zito that you're being compared to. You've got Mark Mulder that you're being compared to, which did me absolutely zero favors. Because one, I've got the face for the radio. Those two did not. They have outstanding hair. I did not. And oh yeah, they're pretty good pitchers as well, Leonard. Talk about that big hammer from Zito. Mulder with the sinker, keeping it on the ground, 95 plus.
Yep.
Split. Good luck.
Oh, all three of those guys had tremendous careers and tremendous success in this ballpark with the Oakland A's. And as you mentioned, the run that they were on was an impressive run. As you mentioned, I don't think they get enough credit for. Everybody just thinks of Moneyball and what was going on, and again, when they weren't really referenced in any of that, that's
not to take away anything from the A's front office. The fact that the A's front office was able to assemble that big three was an incredible accomplishment. And then with all the great Moneyball principles sprinkled in around that roster, the great moments and the long win streak.
Oh, the front office didn't write the script to Moneyball.
That one on the ground, little shovel, and Cowart turns it. And how about Arcia, much better that inning than he was last in the 7th. He really found his stride. So that was a great look. The big three in the Moneyball era, 2000 through 03. Moneyball 2.0. The A's front office, as brilliant as they are, Billy Beane and David Forst have done an incredible job right here with the 2018 second in home runs. The stolen bases, it wasn't valued then. It's not valued now. Look at the difference in the bullpen, though, and that's the interesting thing is, and Billy Beane said it, look, we explored the starter market, but there just wasn't value there. There just wasn't enough. But the A's smartly went out and then cornered the market and loaded up the bullpen.
Well, I think there's been a shift in the approach to how to win baseball games, and a lot of people are flirting with stocking up arms in that bullpen, doing their level best to shorten the game. We've heard it time and time again, turn it into a 6-inning affair if you can. You take note of the blueprint laid down by the Kansas City Royals years ago, and I think that's where a lot of folks' strategic minds go when the postseason starts to creep around, is the bullpen arms. If you don't have it and you can't get it done with the men who are going to start the ball game, the next best option is to make sure you've got as many reinforcements down there as possible to rely on.
Yeah, that strategy works in postseason very, very well. During the full 162, good luck to you, because if you just keep banging that drum all season long, you are going to really certainly run out of guys, and you'll get to the important games that you really need these guys, and they've had a workload.
Yep.
Angels went through that. They had starters in the month of April to where they just weren't getting the innings out of it, and really had to bang on that bullpen hard, and certainly the bullpen paid the price.
Even on the internet, even on Facebook, this copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball, may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Counts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent. And I don't think any Angel fan would want to distribute or disseminate or rebroadcast this telecast. I know that Nick Martini's family is going to probably rebroadcast this, and I think they will get a waiver from the commissioner for that. When you hit your first major league home run, I think you should be able to do whatever you want with that telecast.
Well, there's a good chance that the great video coordinator for the Oakland A's, Adam Roden, already has that on a couple DVDs, already labeled.
That one is rolled to first. E.Y. Jr. in the ball game. He came in earlier as a defensive replacement. And he rolls over one from Chris Hatcher, who is in now for the Athletics, one of 15 right-handed relievers that the A's have to choose from. Edwin Jackson is the hidden story here. Oakland has flexed their muscles without question. 21 runs in this one, and Stephen Piscotty's had another big day. Another 3-run homer, has driven in 4. Marcus Semien has driven in 5 with 3 hits. But the start shouldn't be overlooked. The back-to-back starts, right, of Edwin Jackson. And then last night, Brett Anderson, 6 2/3 scoreless.
Well, that's kind of how this thing has gone throughout the course of the season. It seems like the rotation all at the same time really picked it up and kicked it into gear. Had a nice 2-week stretch or so. They were putting some quality starts together, and then as things started to falter, it seemed like maybe the injury bug crept up, got a hold of a few of them, and then just a couple lackluster performances. But Edwin Jackson, Brett Anderson, and again Trevor Cahill squarely in the middle of the resurgence for that rotation.
Jabari Blash in a right center, and a side saddle catch by Fowler, battling the sun, which we've seen all day. And this game is down to, well, its final out. And this is our final telecast on Facebook Watch. We have a lot of people that have worked hard on our telecast. Our crew, and Mike Santini is producing today, and he's had a nice hand in this. Mike Trainer certainly has been terrific, who's been our game producer for most of the year. Dan Gentili, our director. A lot of people to thank from MLB Network and Facebook as well. Hatcher's pitch is fouled back. Jason Lobb has also directed. Chris Bracey, Tim Fryer, Chris Pfeiffer, our coordinating producer, who's jumped in the chair as well. Our technical managers, Zach Christopher, Don Burkhart, Jason Hedgecock. Production managers, Patrick Harris, Lisa Litvak, Chloe Ferrone, and David Bune as well. Chloe Ferrone. I promised her I'd get that right, and hopefully my second pass I did. And of course the folks at MLB Network, Rob McGlary, Dave Patterson, Scott Braun, has done a terrific job on this package as well. If I've left anybody out, I apologize. You've all been terrific to work for this year. We've had a lot of fun with the different analysts and the 2 lefties. Second pass through for you guys.
You survived the 2 lefties.
I did survive. Well, I had Franzen to balance the ticket down below. Hey,
he's a righty and a lefty's body.
I agree. I mean, he's a guy. He might be wackier than the 2 of us up here.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I like the fact that they fashioned some shade for you there.
No. I fashioned it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Made yourself a little tent down there. I like it.
Yeah, he's like a little turtle right now.
He's made his best effort to hide away from that story of me picking him off here when we played against each other. 2 outs here for the Oakland A's.
And you called it. That was a knock. 1 for 3 in my life. Actually, in the big leagues. I think I was like 9 for 9 off you in the minors.
Doubtful.
And for those of you that in the comment section, that is not Colin McGregor or Ryan Fitzpatrick. That is our Kevin Franzen, pride of San Jose State, pride of the Bay Area, was an Angel, as among other teams in the big leagues.
Yeah, Mike Scioscia was happy to see Kevin Franzen.
So she is.
Sure
was.
was.
Had a great
you guys
nickname.
should say the nickname.
Great nickname for you. And I know even though this is the internet, we still can't share it with our audience. 21-2, Oakland on top. It's an executive decision well above my head. Right center field, that's hit well, and that is gone. And Francisco Arcia, one of the best hitting pitchers in the American League, has gone deep.
He is giving Shohei Ohtani a little run for his money right here.
So that's revenge. He had to serve up some home run balls to the Athletics. And Arcia, who's been pitching for the last 2 innings, blasts one out of here.
There you go. Well, he's got to learn from a guy that's done that this year. We talked a lot about Shohei Ohtani, who's done it on both ends. He's been able to bend around that and see it. There you go.
Now, look, it's painful to lose 21-3. But as you pointed out, Mark, it's turned the page. And for the Angels, at least there's some levity here with Arcia on the mound and at the plate. Oakland is going to win this ball game. And the Athletics' magic number to clinch a postseason spot is down to 5. Putting pressure tonight on the Yankees, the Astros, and the Rays. Oakland takes care of business. The surprise story in 2018, the Oakland Athletics are now 92-61 with 9 to play in this regular season.
Well, it's been impressive last 2 games for the Oakland A's and their offense that you hear a lot about. We saw it the last couple of days, and it isn't just the long ball, and that's what you're here with the Oakland A's, and Bob Melvin was talking about that. It's not all about the long ball. This team is capable of doing a lot of other things, and we've seen it the last 2 games. Some really good at-bats the last couple of games, and this is a team that is rolling.
Well, it's a couple good pitching performances that the Oakland A's have been able to take advantage of. And to your point, Langer's the offense. You know, you talk about bludgeoning the baseball, something the Oakland A's are well known for. But it's about stringing those hits together. Hitting became contagious today, maybe over the last 24 hours or so, and I think we kind of saw that come to a head today against the Halos.
There's the American League West standing, so it's shaved to 3.5 behind the Astros. The Astros still trying to win another American League West. Here's the wild card, and for the Yankees, who have the Red Sox again tonight, if the Red Sox do clinch, and that would clinch the East, if the Red Sox do, the Yankees lead would be down to 1.5 games. Let's go down below our Kevin Franzen. Kevin?
What's going on, guys? I'm standing here with Stephen Piscotty, the player of the game. Another 4 RBI day after a 5 RBI night. What's that like?
Felt good. Obviously, put up a few runs early like that and get a big lead, help the bullpen get a bit of a rest. It was just a great game for us.
22 RBIs in the month of September. What the heck is going on?
You know, I've kind of found myself and gotten back to using the opposite field, really focusing on that line drive, and you know, when you clip one underneath, it goes, and you know, that's been my strength my whole career, and so I'm back to that, and it feels really good.
You played on some good teams with the Cardinals. Now you're here with the A's. An unbelievable run that you guys have going on. How are you guys staying focused in the moment right now?
Yeah, we got a job to do. I think our magic number is at 5, and you know, we want to obviously get in the postseason and maybe, you know, position ourselves even better, maybe get the game here at home or catch the Astros. So we got a lot of work to do. This team's a lot of fun, and you know, we're going out and playing hard. So you know, what will be, but I think we got some fun baseball ahead.
5 for 9 RBIs last 2 days, or the Good Guy Award that you got by the writers today. Which one's the best one for you?
I'd go with the Good Guy Award. That was pretty special. Yeah, really cool.
Thanks for spending some time. Steve Piscotty, player of the game. Rich, back to you.
Player of the last 24 hours for sure. All right, so Dallas Braden, you've got 9 more games with the Oakland Athletics. Good luck with those. Enjoy the ride. It's been a terrific ride, and enjoy the postseason.
Much appreciated. Will do. Looking forward to some, as Stephen Piscotty said, some fun baseball potentially ahead.
Mark Langston, maybe you and Arcia can trade a little notes on the way out of here. But no, look, the Angels have exciting players. If they can make the right moves in the offseason, I think they could have a bright 2019.
Oh, they have an owner that really wants to win, and he's willing to put his wallet where his mouth is. And certainly look for the Angels to be aggressive in the free agent market. Look for this team to build. They have the best player in the game of baseball and one of the most exciting players in Shohei Ohtani. So it doesn't take much for this ball club. They need some health. They need some things to go right from a pitching standpoint. But look for this team to be ready to roll in 2019.
I had a chance to mention all the women and men that went into the production of the Facebook Watch MLB package this year. Many of you from MLB Network. The biggest thank you goes to the fans. For those of you that were able to jump on and log on and enjoy the conversation. And I know it made the season a lot of fun for us, especially. For Dallas Braden, for Mark Langston, for Kevin Franzen, and our entire MLB Network crew, for the final time in 2018, I'm Rich Waltz saying goodbye from Oakland. Thank you for watching MLB Live on Facebook Watch. Oakland, all over the Angels.